News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Salt Lake County leaders say shutting down the Salt Palace for 3 years wasn't their preferred option, but they say it became clear the project would require more extensive construction than originally planned. Associate Deputy Mayor Arlen Bradshaw told KSL.com that's why the county changed course.
We realized that in order for us to accomplish that and have the best convention center, we were going to have to reconstruct more than anticipated over the existing facility.
County leaders say the closure is expected to begin in fall 2027 and should allow crews to complete the project faster than if portions of the building remained open. The closure of the Salt Palace could cost Salt Lake County $300 million a year in economic impact, but leaders say the sacrifice will be worth it in the long run. The county expects the second ballroom they plan to add to the convention center to generate an extra $105 million each year once it opens. The county will also make more than $55 million when they finish selling the building's western edge to the Smith Entertainment Group. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Carnival Cruise Ship Corporation is working to plug a data leak, potentially affecting millions of passengers. The company says hackers gained the confidence of a worker, which then let them gain access to the company's computer system. Carnival says customer data was compromised. Your money at this moment. We've got the markets down this morning, 384 points to 50,923. Coming up, it's going to get even warmer today than it was yesterday, and we have a big backup in Parley's Canyon from a crash. Traffic and weather together is next. KSL News Time, 9:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Support comes from Amazon Business. You can't rely on guesswork to run your business. With Smart Business Buying, innovative AI tools optimize your purchasing experience, paired with delivery options built for business. Empower your team today. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need to get the job done. With fast delivery you can depend on and access to technical product experts ready to help you meet any challenge. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Is your financial advisor managing your risk or just a spreadsheet? Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. Many financial advisors rely on target date funds, which are one-size-fits-all portfolios that don't know your name, your family, or your goals. And that passive management can leave you dangerously exposed. At Trajan, we look at the whole picture, not just the stocks everyone else buys, but the private market opportunities most advisors ignore. And as fiduciaries, we build a strategy around you, coordinating your investments, tax strategy, and estate into one cohesive plan. Your financial life deserves more than just a generic portfolio. Real planning isn't a stack of statements. It's the confidence of knowing where your income will come from for the next 30 years. Good enough isn't good enough for your family. It's time for a change. Schedule your complimentary consultation today. Call 855-TRAJAN-1. That's 855-TRAJAN-1.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Private equity investments require accreditation. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
There's one choice for Congress in Utah's 3rd District, Celeste Malloy. Celeste Malloy has President Trump's complete and total endorsement. She fought alongside President Trump to secure the border, grow the economy, protect the Second Amendment, and deliver results for Utah families. Thanks to Trump-endorsed Celeste Malloy, Utah families are seeing massive tax savings, safer communities, and a country that's getting back on track. President Trump and Utah can count on Celeste Malloy to deliver solutions. She will never let you down. On June 23rd, vote for Celeste Malloy, the Trump-endorsed candidate. She has President Trump's
complete and total endorsement.
Paid for by Winning for Women Action Fund and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.wfwactionfund.com. Winning for Women Action Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
We've got emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bang. Ricky Meese, how's it in Parley's?
It's pretty rough for drivers going eastbound on I-80 due to a crash at SR 65 East Canyon. Right now, traffic is getting through. They're trying to get this crash moved out of traffic to both shoulders, but the delays have already stacked up for a couple of miles in Utah County. What remains of a leftover morning drive crash on northbound I-15 prior to Center Street, Provo. It's now out of traffic, but residual delays remain, as well as heavy and slow traffic northbound I-15 going through Linden and Pleasant Grove. And then if you're in Salt Lake County, northbound I-15 still a little crowded and slow. South Salt Lake to downtown and southbound I-15 from the North Interchange to 6 North. Join in to celebrate America's 250th anniversary, Utah style. Get involved at america250.utah.gov. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast. It's a nice summer day today, although we're not technically to summer yet. Temps are going to feel like it. Highs in the 90s. They're going to stick around and just go up by Saturday, 95 degrees. Right now, though, 70 degrees and some scattered clouds in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Downtown Salt Lake businesses are urged to prepare now for a decrease in foot traffic once the Salt Palace Convention Center closes for 3 years.
Yeah, that's not necessarily quick, but that closure is part of a plan to revitalize the center and build a sports and entertainment district between the Convention Center and the Delta Center.
We're going to talk more about the potential economic impacts of the closure in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, but first, let's get the details on exactly what happened and what the county leaders are saying about this.
We have with us Daniel Woodruff, KSL TV reporter. Thanks for joining us, Daniel.
Hey, Greg and Holly. Good morning.
Good morning. So can you tell us a little bit about what county officials are saying about this closure?
Yeah, so originally they were hoping to keep the Salt Palace at least partially open during a major renovation and redesign that is planned for that convention center that's been around for a long time. But as they got into the details of the plans, they realized, according to them, that this was not feasible. And so they've now recently made the decision to fully close the Salt Palace Convention Center for about 3 years, beginning next fall, so fall of 2027. And this is essentially going to mean a lot for downtown Salt Lake City because the Salt Palace hosts close to 200 conventions a year, obviously some really big ones in there like FanX that alone bring tens of thousands of visitors to downtown Salt Lake City. So this will be a major significant move when that convention center is not available for the duration of this massive redesign and renovation that's expected to really give it quite a facelift.
Daniel, I can't think of too many venues we have in Salt Lake County or really the state of Utah that could accommodate some of the conventions that we're going to lose here. Maybe the Sandy Expo, but do you know where some of these conventions are going to go?
We don't at this point, and I'm actually planning to speak with one organizer later today, so we hope to learn more. But, you know, downtown leaders have talked about trying to kind of get ahead of this and work on helping these businesses that are near the convention center and whatnot to deal with the impact of such a massive decision. But at this point, I couldn't tell you exactly where ones will go, but certainly we do have the Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy that hosts a lot of events and can host a lot of people. I would note, too, that the organizers or leaders in Salt Lake County told us that they made the decision to close it next fall because there are still shows booked through next summer at the Salt Palace. They are booked years in advance. So they said they tried to do this in a way that limits the impact as much as possible to existing events that have already put deposits down and plan to come.
You know, Daniel, the first thing I thought of when I heard that it would close beginning next fall is it would get us through the Salt Lake Temple Open House, which goes from April to October next year. That's 3 million visitors, so I can understand waiting until that's done as well. Did anybody mention that?
We didn't talk at all about the Salt Lake Temple renovation. They did say that they were working their primary focus in all this was the businesses as well as the existing contract. So in working with businesses that are surrounding the Salt Palace and looking at vendors, they decided that that would work. They did also mention that they've been working with the Smith Entertainment Group, which, as you know, is conducting a multi-year renovation of the Delta Center, which is expected actually to wrap up by next fall of 2027, at which point attention would focus to the Salt Palace and kind of shift to that.
So that's kind of what I was understanding, Daniel, that the Delta Center is going to be renovated, and that's going to occur, I think fairly quickly. Is that correct? And that would then be finished about the time they start the Salt Palace renovation?
Yep, about the same time. And it's been going on for a couple summers, and it's going on now. And so next fall, that would be done. And then attention would move to the next big thing. And again, all of this coinciding with an effort to build a major sports and entertainment and cultural district right there in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City, surrounding the Salt Palace, surrounding the Delta Center and all of that.
Daniel, can you remind us what these renovations will add or change to the current Salt Palace?
Yeah, if you go to KSL.com, and we have a great story from last month where my colleague Brian Carlson was able to look at some of that. But they've talked about adding a second ballroom. They've talked about building it higher. There's a lot that's going into this. But, you look at the Salt Palace, it's been around for a very long time, and obviously it was demolished and rebuilt back in the 90s. And so it's been around in its present form, as I understand, for about 30 years. And even last night we were there doing a live shot, and there was a big event going on, and limos were pulling up and people were getting out and going in. I mean, it's a busy happening place, but leaders have said this is going to make it stronger for the future and make it better for future events. Although everybody acknowledges without question, this is going to cause some immense short-term pain. When you look at Salt Lake County, it brings in billions of dollars a year in visitor tourism, and the Salt Palace is a key driver of that. And it brings in a lot of tax revenue for downtown Salt Lake City. And so this is going to be something that is not just, wait until it's over. It's going to have a measurable impact. But everyone that we've talked to, from the mayor's office in Salt Lake City to Visit Salt Lake to the Downtown Alliance, everybody says this is going to hurt, but we believe this is going to make it that much better and position downtown Salt Lake City that much better for the future going forward.
Daniel, there was one part of this that I read and not sure I understand, and that is the east part of the Salt Palace and the west part of what is now the Delta Center. Are those going to be combined, and is the Smith Entertainment Group purchasing part of that east part of the Salt Palace? It seemed like it was being incorporated into that as a part of this bigger sports complex.
Yes, and really, I wish you had my colleague who I reported the story with, Carter Williams, who's just an expert in all things Salt Lake City. But as it's been reported and as was in our story, Salt Palace, Salt Lake County is going to sell part of that property to Smith Entertainment Group as part of this effort to build this downtown district.
Okay, yeah, that's what I understood. So, yeah, thanks for clearing that up.
One last question. Do you have any idea at the end what the parking situation could be when all of these renovations are complete? Because it's already an issue, it feels like.
No idea.
Okay.
That's probably the $1 million question regarding any downtown project, right? What's parking going to look like? But Carter, my colleague, may know that, but I don't know about the parking.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us, Daniel. Appreciate that. Daniel Woodruff, KSL TV.
So I'm excited about this.
I just wanted to give you a couple of comments from Facebook. So, it's interesting, but one person, Tristan, says, we'll finally get WrestleMania. And then he says, maybe. There's a couple of people who are saying, well, where's the water going to come from for this new project, right? I don't know. Several people are saying this is going to kill businesses nearby. One says change the liquor laws. And then there are several comments about FanX. And so we'll be able to talk about economic impact.
I think it's going to be rough on the community, the downtown community, for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine why it's taken so long. But anyway, huge renovation. Good thing at the end, but a rough couple of years. Next on Inside Sources, we're going to go more in-depth on the economic benefits to businesses in the downtown area who won't have convention goers frequenting their businesses for the next 3 years. We'll talk about that when we come back.
I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. Don't face the IRS alone.
I was self-employed and I got behind on my taxes. And then 1 year became 2 years and 3 years, and $116,535.47 to be exact. It just became overwhelming. Finally, I went to another tax company, and they were more interested in how good they were than helping me. I heard about Jordan and talking to the other people who'd done and been in the same situations that I was in, and their tax problems seemed just like mine. And so I went to Jordan, and it was amazing. They were able to negotiate it down to $5,200, and life became wonderful to me.
Don't face the IRS alone. You need a tax attorney that's not afraid to fight for you. Visit endtaxworry.com to schedule your free consultation. That's endtaxworry.com.
I will be forever grateful.
There's no doubt about it. It's always a great time to shop at NPS, which truly is a nice place to save with their 4 locations, 1 in Orem, we've got 1 in Layton, and 2 in Salt Lake. Anytime you'll save 20 to 70% at NPS. But right now, it's time to get into NPS because Father's Day is just around the corner. The summer months are here. It's time to get those power tools, buy a fire pit, great men's clothing. How about some golf clubs and other sports equipment, things that are fun for the summertime for the kids, even things for your lawn and garden. And then, of course, groceries, great prices, and that's very important right now. Terrific prices on groceries. And then when you're shopping the store, above and beyond the 20 to 70% off, you'll find additional savings. It's time for you to go in and shop for dear old Dad at NPS.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio brought to you by UCCU. Receive 4% cash back on cruises at uccu.com. We have a crash eastbound I-80 near the Mountain Dale SR65 area in Parley's Canyon. It is blocking a left lane and causing heavy delays back to almost the quarry, and right now only one right lane of traffic getting through. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
I'm Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Spring is here, and that means pool time is here. No one makes it easier to have a pool in your backyard than Arctic Spas. We just need 2 days, and you can swim for exercise or enjoy family fun. Arctic Spa's all-weather pools continue to be fun all year round, versus a regular pool which you can only use during the summer. We make it easy with maintenance-free filters, automatic natural salt water, and automatic pH control. No one wants to spend their time taking care of their pool. We just want to enjoy it. And that is what Water Care Automation is all about. If you're looking for a pool that is easy to install, easy to maintain, easy on the wallet, and you can use it year-round, look no further than Arctic Spa's all-weather pools. For more information, check us out at arcticspasutah.com or one of our 3 stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
When American troops withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021, thousands of evacuees fled to the U.S. for protection. Many Americans welcomed their new neighbors.
For the last week, the governor tells me his office has been getting calls nonstop with Utahns wanting to help.
When we saw the pictures and the videos coming out of Afghanistan, we prayed to be able to help them.
But then, what happened? Listen to Stranger Becomes Neighbor, wherever you get your podcasts.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wait, everything on this IHOP value menu is just $6?
I told you it was amazing. A huge plate of pancakes, bacon, and eggs is just $6.
Wow.
There's also French toast, a ham and cheese omelet, and oh, they got a BLT and fries now.
Okay, we're coming here every day.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Feast for just $6 with the IHOP value menu. $7 in some locations, available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of. Warren Forrest.
If he had dumped two, you would have thought maybe there's another one.
But now a witness, identified in the podcast, could lead investigators to Jamie Grissom. Binge Stolen Voices of Dole Valley wherever you get your podcasts and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the latest breaking news in the case.
America's best warranty from Hyundai includes a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty and 24/7 roadside assistance. Visit your Utah Hyundai dealer for more information.
Inside Sources.
Well, the Salt Palace Convention Center, which is the largest convention center in the state, will close in the fall of 2027 for 3 years, Holly, as the area undergoes a redevelopment into a sports and entertainment district between Salt Palace and the Delta Center.
And while it's closed, of course, nothing's going to be held there. So no FanX, no Roots Tech, no doTERRA convention for 3 years.
Yeah, that's huge. And with the drop in downtown visitors during that time, what are local businesses expecting, and how can they prepare for a decrease in dollars spent? I think this is going to be tough on the downtown community.
That is the question, right? That's the question of the day. And I know when this story broke last night, KSL put it out on their social media, on Facebook, to talk about it. And it's really interesting, some of the responses. So we mentioned briefly at the end of the last segment, people are worried about FanX. People are worried about the traffic and the parking. In fact, we had a texter let us know and say, "I know about the parking!" ! There won't be very much. It's never enough, and it will be very expensive, right? So one texter says, again, how many times are they going to remodel it? So you mentioned to me that it has been remodeled, and Daniel Woodruff said that it has been remodeled before. So hasn't it been a while, though?
Oh, yeah, it's been quite a while. And in fact, the old Salt Palace doesn't exist in any form anymore.
Right.
The old rotunda.
Was totally redone. Okay.
Totally redone. Well, let's get an expert. We have the executive director of the Downtown Alliance, Dee Brewer, on the line with us. Dee, thanks for joining us this morning. And tell us, how does the downtown community feel about the Salt Palace being shut down for 3 years?
Well, it's obviously big news, and the Salt Palace does need to be remade. It's such an integral part of the downtown economy, and the long-term plan will be good for the downtown economy. It will be good for the state, the county, and the city economy as well. So we're excited about the prospects, but the old phrase, short-term pain for long-term gain, is probably applicable here.
So can you talk to our listeners a little bit about some of that? Both of those, the short-term pain for the long-term gain. What are you anticipating economically for the next maybe 5 years?
Yeah. Well, if I could give a little bit of context here, the downtown economy is absolutely a social economy. Visitors make up the biggest chunk of spenders downtown. So we measure success downtown in customer days. For example, last year, there were 31 million customer days. That means somebody came downtown for more than 60 minutes. Visitors made up 66% of those customer days. And the Salt Palace Convention days create some of the highest peaks in downtown visitation. There were 412,000 Salt Palace conventioneers last year. So our highest customer volume is on the weekends, and particularly between 6 p.m. and midnight. But convention visitors create customer days midweek. Those convention visitors are high-spend visitors, and it will be very difficult to replace those midweek high-spend convention visitors from the Salt Palace. Downtown Alliance is committed to working with the county, with Visit Salt Lake, on mitigation strategies to support the restaurants and bars during this closure period.
In terms of mitigation, Dee, are there venues in downtown Salt Lake? And I know people have talked about the Mountain America Expo Center, but that's out in Sandy, which is a great venue, but it doesn't bring a lot of customers to downtown Salt Lake restaurants and bars and venues. Are there other places in Salt Lake that can handle some of these conventions? If there are 200, some of them have got to be small enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you make a very good point. Grand America, Little America, Hilton, Marriott's, and others have convention capabilities, not at that scale, not at FanX scale. not at Roots Tech and others. But I think that's somewhere that Visit Salt Lake is going to really lean into those possibilities. But we need additional strategies as well. Activations downtown, making downtown attractive for everybody to just, come with a ticket in your hand, but come just because there's lots going on downtown. Let's talk about Delta Center and 16 other venues downtown. Ticket sales were up 16% last year, 18% the year before that. So these are great pieces of the downtown economy as well that I think we need to lean into even further in order to keep that visitation flowing.
Can you talk to us about actually, as I understand it, selling off part of the Salt Palace? Is that part of the economic impact here?
Well, that's a great question for the county and all the mechanics of that. That is going to be part of the larger sports entertainment district. And you'll see additional development on the east side of the Delta Center in the former location, on the west end of the Salt Palace. The reconstruction that's being planned is on the main part of the Salt Palace, and it's very exciting. An additional ballroom. Visit Salt Lake is going to be able to sell more conventions and larger conventions. That industry is changing, and that's why the county and Visit Salt Lake want to update the convention center to accommodate the new world of conventions.
Dee, I suppose you've got your hands full with some of these bigger conventions like FanX and Roots Tech to convince them that this short-term pain will have some long-term gain, and hope that they don't move. I mean, 3 years, let's say they go to Colorado or to Nevada or something, and they say, well, that's just where we're going to stay. You know what I mean? You've got to give them some reason to stick around and wait it out.
Sure. And Visit Salt Lake sells conventions. They make that case, and they're doing a very good job at that. The Downtown Alliance's responsibility, or our stakeholders, are the restaurants, bars, the retailers downtown who also benefit from that visitation. And that's why we're appreciative that we're at the table with the county and with Visit Salt Lake to create these mitigation strategies that keep the visitors flowing.
So for those of us maybe who are not out-of-state visitors, right, what are things maybe we can think ahead of maybe prioritizing over the next 3 years starting next year?
Mm-hmm. Well, check the calendar of all the things that you may want to do. There are concerts at the Delta Center. There are concerts at 16 venues. We had Busker Fest last year. We've got the Utah Arts Festival coming up in just a couple of weeks. There are last year we were involved with 160 different festivals and events downtown. And so if you go to the Downtown Alliance website, you will find This Week Downtown that tells you everything that's happening right now this week. And so please subscribe. I'm taking this opportunity to make a plug, but it's actually making those choices to come down and find things that you won't find anywhere else. Opera, symphony, ballet.
Yeah, I'm going to take this opportunity to make a plug too, Dee. You guys have done a great job. I love the vibe downtown right now. I mean, coming down and all the restaurants and bars and clubs and things. It's a scene that I didn't expect to see in Salt Lake so soon. So keep up the good work. You guys are really doing a great job.
Thanks for your endorsement, Greg.
Thanks for joining us. That's Dee Brewer, Executive Director of the Downtown Alliance. So you say you're looking forward to this.
No, I'm not looking forward to 3 years of timeout.
The closure, but the after.
Oh yeah, I think I can wait that out. I mean, 3 years, but what troubles me is that it will take 3 years. I mean, it doesn't seem like it took that long to build the place in the first place.
I don't know, but we do have a texter who said something that I also thought it won't be 3 years, it'll be 5.
I know, and it'll go over budget.
Construction,
yep.
Right? Yep. I don't know. I hope that's not true. Okay, well, when we come back, we're going to go down to southern Utah and dig into a lawsuit involving the Iron County School District and claims of racial bullying.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The Utah Division of Outdoor Recreation is giving $19 million in funding to outdoor projects around the state. These projects can range from building new trails to restoring skate parks or playgrounds. The grants range from $500 to $1 million. Your apple trees are delicious to deer and elk who might also want the bounty in your garden. KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi reports on how to keep them out.
The drought is having an effect you might not have realized. It's causing wildlife to move to lower elevations to forage for food and water. Faith Heaton-Jolly with the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources says there are plants you can put at the edge of your garden that deer and elk think taste bad.
Just to deter them from coming in and eating additional plants, because they'll kind of hit that first barrier and not really be interested in coming further.
She says you can install 8-foot-high fences and motion-activated sprinklers as deterrents. The DWR is encouraging people to avoid providing water and food to wildlife because they could lose their fear of people. Tammy Kikuchi, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Pentagon says they shot down a wave of Iranian drones targeting U.S. forces in Kuwait.
All of this comes as it is really unclear where diplomatic efforts to end this war now stand. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told lawmakers yesterday that a deal, quote, could happen today, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen next week. But he cautioned there's no guarantee that it would be acceptable to the Senate or the American people. And the president was asked in an interview about the weeks of whiplash and why he seems to be changing his stance on Iran so often. Trump saying, quote, it's just the way I am.
ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 390 points this morning to 50,917. Coming up, we still got backups in Parley's Canyon, plus the weather forecast. Looking hot. Weather and traffic next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
I just have to give a shout out to Soda Diet Nutrition. I hooked up with them. It's been about 2 months now, and I'd never been on a diet except just to regulate my weight when I was younger. But as I got older, it was just too hard to do. So I met with them, talked to them about 2 months ago, and lost almost 30 pounds in 6 weeks. That has maintained, and I'm really happy about that. I'm on a sort of a maintenance program with them now. But I wanted to do a diet that didn't involve injections or pills, just food. They hooked me up. I got a nutritionist that helps me understand my diet, what I was doing wrong, what I'm doing right. I'm working out better than ever before, and I've got a weight that I want to maintain and I want to keep because it's the weight that I had basically since high school. It's a really good program. SOTA, S-O-T-A Diet Nutrition. They hook you up with a real your own personalized coach. And it's worked very well for me. Join now. Your partner joins free. 2 people, real accountability for the price of one. SOTA is, say it with me, state of the art.
Is it time for a gut check? If the recent volatility in the markets had you logging into your accounts, spending hours researching the economy, and tossing and turning all night, then maybe it's time for a change. What's your gut tell you? Does it want you to bury your head in the sand or to get serious about creating a plan that can help preserve what you've saved? Capital Wealth is here to help you navigate the overwhelming world of retirement accounts. Call the Capital Wealth team today so you don't miss an opportunity to get your questions answered. 801-210-5500. That's 801-210-5500. No one knows when the next market drop will happen, so call Capital Wealth now to get started preserving your hard-earned money. 801-210-5500. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-771-1300. That's 800-771-1300.
Time for another check of emergency traffic brought to you by UCCU. Receive 4% cash back on cruises at uccu.com. What's the update, Ricky Meese?
This is in Parley's Canyon. An earlier crash eastbound I-80 near SR-65 in the Mountaindale East Canyon area had been blocking traffic. It's now been moved over to the shoulder. However, the delays are still pretty heavy and strong. Better speeds from SR-65, not quite to the quarry, but from the quarry down to the mouth of Parley's, it is still slow and go and stop and go speeds. Give Dad the biggest hugs ever this Father's Day with a Minky Couture blanket. Save 50% with promo code KSL50 in stores and at minkycouture.com. The best blanket ever. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, it's a summer day today. We're going to have highs near 90 degrees, and those temperatures, they'll dip slightly tomorrow, then go up to 92 on Friday, 95 a high expected on Saturday. Right now, it's 70 degrees with some scattered clouds in Salt Lake. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
One Utah school district is now asking a federal judge to dismiss a lawsuit against them over claims that they allowed racial bullying and harassment by another student.
Yeah, the Iron County School District says they can't find enough proof that the incident happened, so they want the lawsuit dismissed. They also say they aren't responsible for harm caused by one student to another.
And I don't know if I buy that. So I don't know how the district can say they're not responsible for bullying, especially, right, during a school event.
Well, so that's a good question, and that's what this lawsuit, that's sort of the center of the lawsuit.
Right.
And let me just lay a little foundation here. A young girl attending, I think, Cedar High School, it was in Iron County School District, the Iron School District, was apparently bullied. She was trying out for the cheerleader squad, and another young girl was also trying out, had said something and made some comments to her, and some of those comments dealt with her race. Apparently the alleged victim is Hispanic. She then years later filed a lawsuit against the school and the district, claiming that she had been bullied and claiming that the school didn't do enough to protect her. And the school's defense was just exactly what you just mentioned, that things happen at school, and the district isn't necessarily responsible for the conduct of the students. And they made a motion to dismiss, saying effectively there's no cause of action. In other words, there's no claim that you can make.
Right.
If the school district does something, that's one thing, but because a student does it, that's not enough. And the case is now in its third amended complaint. The plaintiffs keep filing different versions of the complaint. The first two were filed in state court in, I think it's the 5th district down there in Iron County. It's been now removed to the federal court, and they've added some federal causes of actions, including what we call 1983, which is a civil rights violation, and some federal laws, including, I think, Title IX or something like that, saying, now you've got
discrimination.
Right, yes. And so the school district is still saying, but that didn't occur here. Even under federal law, there's the district. What happened, what really upset the plaintiffs here was that the district did some investigation, and they determined that there wasn't enough there to act on. And what the district is now saying is, you're suing us because you don't like our investigation. I'm sort of reading between the lines a little bit here. Not that necessarily that we did something wrong, but because you don't like what we did. You don't like how we handled it. And anyway, the lawsuit's going back and forth. There's 50-page motion to dismiss, third amended complaint, gone from state court now to federal court, and it's really an interesting case because for a lawyer it's an interesting case.
Sure.
Maybe not for the people, but it's a sad situation that happened to this poor girl.
Yeah.
No matter what happened, but then you have to ask yourself, who's ultimately responsible for that? Is the school district? You know what I mean?
I'm not an attorney, but yes.
Well, but I understand what you're saying. But I mean, you think about this. kids get in fights at school. Kids get bullied at school. Is the school responsible?
Yes.
No. Holly, you're killing me. I mean, because they're responsible if they know, or if they have reason to know, or they don't take adequate steps to protect. But you can't just be responsible for everything that happens on your campus.
I'm not sure you can convince me of that.
Okay.
However, I'll just say, as a parent of kids who are bullied, and it feels like it happens all the time.
Sure.
Right? So we had children who were racially bullied, I would say, and they wouldn't tell me about it, actually, because they knew that I would march down to the principal's office and say, something needs to change here, right?
Right.
I also had a child that was bullied, and he was being charged, I guess, with being the perpetrator. But when I found out he was the one who was the victim, Mama Bear came out, and I was polite but insistent to the school that something change, and it did, right? But I wouldn't have been afraid to bring a lawsuit in that case, right, if they had ignored it. Now, in this particular situation, I can say mine was specific, right? This is a broader question. What I'm looking at in the St. George News about this story is that they have text messages, and the school district said, well, we can't confirm that those are legitimate. And what the plaintiffs are saying is that Apple has confirmed, like, you can't, this isn't a faked message, right? That's what they're saying. So I don't know all the details of that. I understand that they're saying we didn't see any incidents of bullying. But my concern is it feels like it's and I'm just saying from the surface, right? I'm not involved in the legal details. I don't know the details of this case either, except for what I can see in the news. I feel like it's the school district and the school's responsibility to ensure that the environment for kids to go to school is safe for all of them, and that includes being safe from bullying.
I agree. But I'm going to hang myself on a couple of words you said, because that's what lawyers do. You said, I would have done something if they had ignored it.
Yeah.
So if your kid is bullied and you contact the school and say, knock it off, do something, and they do, I don't think you have a cause of action for the bullying that occurred because they didn't know about it. However, if they had ignored it and they continued, then you have a problem. That's what happened up here, I think, in Davis County with that little girl that ultimately killed herself, and she sued the school, and I think there was a settlement there. Her family did. So, I mean, you're just not automatically responsible for the conduct of your kids at the school unless you ignore it, unless you have reason to know that it's happening, unless you haven't taken reasonable steps to prevent it from happening in the first place. If you have an anti-bullying policy, if you have signs on the school walls that say, hey, if you're subject to bullying, call this number or talk to this person, tell your teacher, then you're taking reasonable steps. And then if it happens, the bully is responsible, but the school's not always responsible for everything that happens on the campus. I know I'm not selling you on this.
No, you can semi-convince me, but it's concerning, and I understand what you're saying about they did take action, they did an investigation, and that what they're alleging is that the parents don't like what they concluded. Right. Is that there actually wasn't an incident. And I would say this: if it happened once, I'm almost positive it happened more than once. Bullying isn't usually a one-time incident.
No, I understand. And no, you make a good point. But even that doesn't hold the school district responsible unless they had some knowledge of it or some reason that they should have had knowledge.
I guess
if a teacher knew and didn't report it or did report it, or some parent wrote
or
like you
the
did.
coach or whatever,
right?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I don't know what'll end up happening with this. It sounds like it's been playing out for a while because the incident in question happened, I think, in the spring of 2024, so 2 years ago. And it's been ongoing for a while. But it's just a concern to me when it feels like people are getting away with bullying. And I guess that's my trigger, right, is to say, is this an incident where are you turning a blind eye to bullying because she is Hispanic? Are you turning a blind eye? Look, I'm just saying there have been some incidences where it's the good old boys club, or hazing is okay because everybody does it, right? I mean, this is not that incident, but it just sounds familiar.
I'm glad that we're talking about bullying in schools the last 10 years, which we hadn't before. I'm glad that that's an issue that we're dealing with. And I'm glad that you had at least somewhat of a positive experience after having such a negative experience with bullying.
Well, and I think there is a parental responsibility for sure on both sides, right? To make sure that the school knows what's happening. But if your child is the bully, you had better be stepping up, man.
Yeah.
And if you see behavior that's concerning, instead of just turning a blind eye as a parent or even condoning it, you better step in too.
Yeah.
That's my feeling.
Good advice. Good advice. Well, coming up next on Inside Sources, claims of stolen Legos, stalking charges, and the arrest of a YouTuber in American Fork. We'll tell you how all this fits together after the break.
But before we go to break, we want to remind you of a special opportunity this week to help the kids and families at Primary Children's Hospital. Tomorrow is our annual Give-a-thon. It's our first time, Greg and I. It'll be fun. Join KSL News Radio as we work towards hope, health, and healing. And you don't even have to wait until tomorrow. You can donate now by going to kslkids.com or by texting the word SMILE to 57500. And for committing just $15 a month, you can be a smile maker for the year. Our thanks to J&J Garden Center for being a smile maker sponsor.
While the weather's mild, it's a perfect time to get your air conditioner ready for summer. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and the next time you're outside, take a look at your air conditioner. There's a few things you can do to avoid common breakdowns that happen at the beginning of the season. If you covered it for the winter, uncover it. If the bushes and shrubs are growing around it, make sure you trim them back about 18 to 24 inches. If the coils are dirty, rinse them off with your garden hose. Then go inside and make sure you have a clean filter. If you do all that and find yourself with an air conditioner that isn't working, consider calling Any Hour Services. We have an air conditioner troubleshooting special for any homeowners listening. For only $29, we'll send a certified HVAC technician to your home to troubleshoot why your air conditioner isn't working. Then they'll give you a summary of their findings and present you options to repair it. To find out why your air conditioner isn't working for only $29, call Any Hour Services today at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Looking for the perfect summer getaway? Enter now for your chance to win an unforgettable escape to Bear Lake. One lucky winner will enjoy a 2-night stay for two at Beaver Creek Lodge, a scenic horseback riding adventure through Logan Canyon with lunch included, plus a $100 gift card to Some Beaches restaurant. Don't miss your chance to relax, explore, and make summer memories. Sponsored by Bear Lake Tourism. Enter now at ksl.com/win.
How will we ever defeat the British?
By remembering what we're fighting for. General. A country of our own. That will one day celebrate 250 years. How will we celebrate, sir? By going to Strong Volkswagen, where every vehicle is a dime.
A dime, sir?
Yes, one dime down at Strong Volkswagen. Hear, hear. With great price reductions on 250 vehicles.
It sounds glorious, sir.
Oh, it is. Lease new 2026 Jetta S, just $235 a month, $235. All-wheel drive Atlas, just $432 a month. And you get a lifetime warranty. Lifetime. And financing, sir? Those with a job and a dime shall drive away.
One dime down.
The 250 sales event.
Save thousands with event pricing on 250 vehicles.
At Strong Volkswagen. For over 70 years, Strong Volkswagen.
Located downtown, strongvw.com.
strongvw.com.
And no tax, right, sir?
Well, for details, call 801-596-2200.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by UCCU. Improve cash flow with a home equity line of credit. Parley's Canyon remains stopped with traffic, and this is due to a crash eastbound I-80 near SR65 East Canyon. All vehicles involved in the crash are now moved out of the lanes of travel to the shoulder. However, we have residual delays back past the quarry. Speeds and traffic volumes are starting to improve and move, but it's still going to take another 10 to 15 minutes minimum for these delays to clear out. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Doug Wright, and I'm here with Monty from Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized Connecticut independent dealer. Now, Monty, don't all of the other water softeners require us to basically trust our home's water to electronics? If a power surge happens, a fried circuit board, or the power just goes out suddenly, aren't you back to scrubbing hard water scale and dry skin?
Yes, we believe the best technology is simple. That's why Connecticut's premium systems are non-electric. While other softeners rely on finicky computers and electronics, Connecticut runs on the kinetic energy technology of moving water. Nothing to plug in, no buttons to push, and zero electricity.
I've had a Connecticut soft water system in my home for many years, and I've never had to do anything to it except occasionally add a little salt. And I love that it never requires me to set or program anything. Dee loves that she always has the soft water. So do what I did and go to softwaterutah.com to learn how your family can enjoy the benefits of soft water without the hassles of traditional water softeners. That's softwaterutah.com.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
The new Inside Sources.
Okay, so here's a weird series of events. Claims of stolen Legos worth apparently $200,000, arrests of a viral YouTube creator, and claims that police in American Fork are not doing enough.
And you know, it's something my own son has been upset and passionate about. In fact, he was talking to me about it at length yesterday. It's kind of complicated, though, so let's walk through it, and then I want your legal takes on it.
Okay, so what happened here is that an individual took his Lego set, and apparently it was some...
multiple sets.
Yeah, it was like some Star Wars Lego collection, valued at about $200,000 to this business called Bricks and Minifigs. And it was a Utah-based Lego resale company. Gave it to them on consignment to go ahead and sell. Well, Bricks and Minifigs apparently went from a franchise to corporate consignment. The corporate office took over, and they won't allegedly give him back his Legos or his money. So he's obviously upset, and he somehow recruited this YouTuber to get involved, and that's when it got really interesting.
So it is really interesting, right? And it's one of the things that can happen with social media, right? So one of the things that we know that happened is that this YouTuber has gone and created videos. He has created a satirical company called We Steal From Old People. So, and then he's talked about he's claiming harassed by the American Fork Police because he's filming these videos.
Yeah, and what he's doing is he's going to the home, apparently, of the former employee of this consignment company, going to his house, knocking on his door, trying to get pictures of him, posting some videos and things like that. And American Fork Police got involved, and they have now stopped him and arrested him several times for stalking, for harassment, disorderly conduct.
Residential picketing,
not stopping fully at a stop sign. I mean, and he's sort of claiming, "Well, wait a minute, you're targeting me," and he's got some evidence that he did fully come to a stop. And American Fork is saying, of course, we don't just pull people over because we have nothing to do. And he's saying, the heck you don't. You're targeting me and you're following me around and you're looking for any excuse you can to arrest me.
So anyway, it's really interesting to me that it's kind of blown up, and on not only on social media, but the American Fork Police Department is getting hundreds of phone calls about this issue.
Your kid actually saw it or knew something about it.
Yeah. So my son Joshua he's my son that is in a wheelchair, but he's 31, and he was talking to me about Reddit posts that he had seen and just watching the videos of the YouTuber. It's Ben Schneider, I think is his name, and just saying, look, here's the video of one of the stops, and he is clearly not even the driver. They pull him over and say, "Where's Ben?" It's like, well, I feel targeted.
You know, what's weird is that how this became, I mean, you have alleged victim, and you have, what's it called, Bricks and Minifigs. Those are the two culprits, the victim and the company.
Right.
But this is all about a YouTuber and the American Fork Police, two sort of tangential groups that are now getting sideways.
Well, the YouTuber wanted the guy to be able to either get his Legos back or get his money back.
So he's intervening in a way that the American Fork Police are saying they take a little bit of offense to, and they have to look out for their victim, who is what the YouTuber thinks is actually the perpetrator, and saying, well, you can't just harass him or go to his house and video. And this YouTuber's going, why not? I mean, this is America. I can do whatever I want.
Well, we know that's not true.
Right.
But look, American Fork Police released a 26-minute video on their YouTube page. It has something like 450,000 views also, that addresses the 4 different cases and the police response related to this incident. So here's just part of the response from Police Chief Cameron Paul.
I understand that many people following this situation online have strong feelings regarding the underlying business dispute out of Oregon. and allegations that individuals may have lost significant amounts of money. I recognize that people are frustrated, angry, and may feel that justice has not been served in relation to those allegations. Those concerns are understandable. I understand them and I'm empathetic to them. And nothing in the actions taken by the American Fork Police Department should be interpreted as validating, supporting, or defending anyone involved in that separate civil or criminal dispute. Our responsibility in Utah was not to determine who was morally right or wrong in a business disagreement originating in another state. Our responsibility was to respond to conduct reported here in our community, evaluate the facts available to our officers at the time, and enforce Utah law as officers established probable cause that a crime had occurred. The fact that someone may believe they have been wronged financially does not exempt any individual from the laws governing harassment, trespassing, stalking, or other conduct within our jurisdiction. We remain committed to enforcing the law fairly, objectively, and transparently, regardless of who is involved or what narrative may exist.
I have to say, listening to that, it was the perfect response. I mean, I don't know if the chief wrote that or his attorney wrote that, but that's exactly what you have to say if you're the chief of police. And by the way, American Fork PD's a very, very good police group. I've had very much respect for them. And so that's the kind of thing you would hope a chief would say, and not blaming others and you can't do this and you can't do that. He's saying, look, we're just doing our job. We're just trying to make things safe. We don't get involved with these other issues. But if crimes committed in our presence, we have probable cause, we do what we have to do.
So it's interesting, really, that one of the things that Schneider has said is that he's told the American Fork Police that he's trying to fulfill the requirements to file an Oregon lawsuit. And so he's saying that the person he's allegedly harassing is key to that lawsuit, right? As somebody who is trying to resell these Legos, because the original owner lives in Oregon. He's not a Utah resident.
Yeah, you should mention Schneider is the YouTuber, the one that's
Schneider's the YouTuber.
Allegedly causing the problems.
That's right.
Right.
So one of the things too is that I guess the American Fork Police Department is finding out how many people care about Lego. I don't know, but they have this video and they have a Facebook post. There's thousands of comments, but they side with Schneider, the YouTuber.
You know, and I don't know a lot about Legos except having played with them a couple of times, but I can't imagine what a $200,000 collection of Legos looks like. You'd have to put that in a truck, I think. I mean, it would seem like it'd be mammoth.
Look, it's a lot, but all I can say is when we talked about Minas Tirith, so the big Lord of the Rings thing that just barely got released, it's $700 for one kit.
Yeah.
So when you start to have multiple things, especially as they're older, right? So I'm sure that there's value. It's not just the cost that you paid for them, it's the value as they increase. But I actually can easily imagine a $200,000 Lego collection.
There's a huge question, Holly, that I don't know the answer to, and that is this. You give a consignment center your Legos or your car or your whatever you have, they don't sell it.
Yeah.
Give it back. I mean, where is it?
Exactly.
What happened to it?
That's the issue. That is the issue. So I'm looking at the KSL.com article on this. Bricks and Minifigs, the company, right, said when they first put it up for sale, they valued it at well over $200,000. This was in November of 2024. And the company said it always has had an approach that any inventory that doesn't belong to us goes back to its rightful owner. Well, it didn't. It didn't go back, and that's one of the issues. So,
but that's the question: where did it go?
It's saying most of those Lego sets were sold off before the corporate owners took back the franchise up in Oregon, and so that the new owners, the inventory was stored off site. It's like, we don't have it. We don't know. Like, it's not ours. We don't have it.
But if you took it in on consignment, you're probably responsible for it. I know that they're now claiming we're the new owners. We're not responsible for what the old owners.
They actually closed the Oregon location because the staff was facing stalking and bomb threats because of the videos related to this. And so they're saying, look, the store doesn't even exist anymore. So I don't know. We'll see where that goes. But it's kind of interesting.
Give me back my Legos.
Give me back my Legos. In the next hour of Inside Sources, we're going to chat with the Tooele County Clerk about some 9,000 incorrect ballots being sent out to voters. That conversation will be at 10:35. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. A group of people opposed to a proposed concert venue at the mouth of Provo Canyon say they've started a petition that's already gathered over 1,500 signatures.
I thought Provo Canyon, there's no room in Provo Canyon for something like that.
Willie Holdman's a hiker and photographer and says he's worried about noise and light pollution, as well as traffic for the venue that could seat 20,000 people. Developers say they have plans to reduce noise and light pollution, and they will create additional access to outdoor trails and preserved spaces. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Ukraine says they've used drones to hit Russian cities far from the Ukrainian border.
Ukraine is now mounting long-range drone strikes like this weekly, and Russia appears largely powerless to stop them. That is increasingly bringing the war home to Russians, and we are seeing a shift in the mood in Russia. Doubts about the war are leaking out. That doesn't mean that Vladimir Putin is close to stopping the war, but it is denting his sense of invulnerability.
ABC's Patrick Reevell reporting. Crews got to work quickly after a fire sparked in Washington County. The Snowfield fire started around I-15, just 2 miles north of Ventura. As of last night, Utah Fire Info said it burned 44 acres, but was 50% contained. Firefighters expect to have the fire fully contained this morning. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 454 points today to 50,852. Coming up, warm, then breezy. We've got KSL weather next. And we still have some delays in Parley's Canyon. KSL News Time, 10:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
This year, Utahns are celebrating the 250th anniversary of our country, Utah style, because everything from Utah's red rock deserts to our snowy peaks are worth celebrating. It's our land, our communities. Join us in celebrating our country with Utah style. Join the statewide celebration. Get involved at america250.utah.gov. Brought to you by America First Credit Union.
Escape to the beauty of Bear Lake with an unforgettable mountain adventure at Beaver Creek Lodge in Garden City, Utah. Relax in cozy accommodations, then saddle up with Logan Canyon horseback riding for a scenic ride through the breathtaking Bear Lake Mountains. Take in stunning views of crystal blue waters, aspen groves, and wildflowers. Then enjoy lunch with panoramic views. Unwind with dinner, and of course a raspberry shake at Some Beaches restaurant in Laketown. Adventure, scenery, and relaxation. Plan your perfect getaway at bearlake.org.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
This is Nate Orchard from Advanced Window Products.
When you live in Utah, your windows do a lot more than let the light in. They protect your home from freezing winters, blazing summers, and everything in between. That's why Advanced Window Products builds every window for your local climate. No middleman, no out-of-state delays, just factory direct quality, custom made for your home. Imagine a quieter home, a warmer home, a cooler home. Our high-efficiency vinyl windows are engineered to lower your energy bills and boost your comfort all year round. And installation is done by our own certified in-house crews, never subcontractors. That's why Utah homeowners give us 5-star reviews. Right now, take advantage of our anniversary sale. For a limited time, get $2,500 off when you buy 10 or more windows. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. For 40 years, Advanced Window Products has been the name Utah trusts for custom replacement windows and sliding glass doors. Advanced Window Products, built here, installed here, trusted here. Call 801-850-9100 for that $2,500 off, or visit us at advancedwindows.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by UCCU. Improve cash flow with a home equity line of credit. Let's check in again with Ricky Meese.
Heavy delays continue in Parley's Canyon due to a crash eastbound I-80 at East Canyon. It's now out of traffic, but the backups remain to the mouth of Parley's. And if you're traveling northbound I-15 in Salt Lake County, just a little bit of busy traffic in Murray approaching 4500 South. Weathers Construction delivers beautiful modern bath remodels done right. Call 801-548-8409. Weathers Construction. Build your space better. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast today, 89, looking at a high, 86 tomorrow, and then winds start to pick up. By Friday, though, we should be in the 90s. Right now it's 73 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I love our show. I have to say that. We're almost a year old. But as part of this show, we do have a lot of inside sources, and we want to hear from you. So we want to be able to connect you to our own inside sources so everybody can learn and find some answers.
Yeah, in this segment, we want to focus on a particular situation from a frequent listener of our show who has a really unique question about the HOA at his condominium complex.
So to help us with this, we are joined in studio by Erin Ryder, Director of the Utah HOA Ombudsman Office. Thanks for joining us, Erin.
Hi, it's so great to be with you guys.
Good to have you back.
Before we get to the question, I do want to ask you about the HOA office and what you do, because I didn't realize we had an HOA ombudsman office.
Well, you're not alone in that. The office was created in 2025 by legislation, and then we opened officially in September of 2025. So we haven't even been open for a year. So yes, this is a brand new office, a brand new resource for the state of Utah, and we're just getting going.
So what is it you do?
So we handle concerns from the public about HOAs. Specifically, we can issue legal advisory opinions if someone feels like there's been a violation of state law within their association. It's intended to be an alternative form of dispute resolution, another way for people to get answers to their questions if they feel like the law has been violated without having to go all the way to court, right?
Okay.
Currently in an association, you either resolve it with your board or you go to court. There's not really anything in between, and we're now the in-between. Yeah.
So you said you handle customer complaints. I'm guessing you're very busy.
We handle them in different ways, right? So if you want an advisory opinion with our office, there is a filing fee. There's an application process for that. But we also have lots of people call us and just ask questions and tell us their concerns about their association, and we kind of walk them through options that they have and do a lot of education and training. So yes, we're very busy.
Okay, so here is our listener question. They live in a condo. It has an HOA. They're wondering about their neighbor. They've got a child with special needs that is noisy in the middle of the night. And so they're wondering what their options are. Like, you can't play loud music after a certain time. Is there something that the HOA can do to enforce a no noise rule for a child with special needs who's making noise in the middle of the night?
Yeah, this is a really interesting issue, and it's one where you can certainly see some compassion on all sides of this, right? Here you have a single mother with a child who has disabilities. You also have neighbors who are starting to have sleep problems, maybe some chronic sleep problems because of the noise that's coming from that child with disabilities. And so our office deals specifically with state law, right? We don't look at federal law, we don't look at municipal ordinances. But in Utah, we do have the State Fair Housing Act, and that mirrors in many ways the Federal Fair Housing Act. Basically what that says is that people with disabilities can request reasonable accommodations for that disability. In an association like this, it's not uncommon to have things like quiet hours, right? So starting at 10 p.m., we expect everyone in the community to be quiet and to keep it, peaceful. But those rules can't be enforced against someone who has an accommodation for a disability like this. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't anything that can't be done, right? There is that word reasonable in there. And so what that means is that the association and the mother probably should be working together to figure out how do we do this in a way that, the association would be opening itself up to a pretty significant lawsuit if it just tried to blanket enforce these quiet hours against this child where it's known that he has this disability. But maybe they could say, how about if we put some rugs on the floor or some, curtains, some noise dampening curtains or some acoustic tiles in his room or things like that to try and dampen the noise, especially when it's in a condo and you have people living right next door where that noise is going to travel a little bit better. So it's not that there isn't anything that can't be done, but you do have to provide accommodations from the HOA, because the HOA in many ways probably would be considered a housing provider. Right.
Well, before we started this morning, Aaron, we talked a little bit, and Holly said something to the effect that I wouldn't buy a house that had an HOA, and I thought I don't know that I would buy a house that didn't have an HOA. And
another difference.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, what is it about HOA, Aaron, that seems to be a four-letter word? You know what I mean? Like, why do people just cringe at that whole concept of an HOA? Because to me, at least in our neighborhood, it keeps things. I like the way our neighborhood's set up. I like the fact that people have certain things with their house and the way that they're set up and what they can and can't do. For me, I like it.
Yeah. HOAs can be a really great benefit when you live in a community that's well run, that's well maintained, and you have certain rules like that. It can certainly add to the value of your home. It can create for a peaceful, cohesive community environment that a lot of people find really attractive and really beneficial. Where you have things on the other side is when maybe that HOA isn't run very well and maybe the costs are going up more than people can actually afford. That's one thing that people don't really realize is that in an HOA, you do have to pay dues on top of your mortgage. And sometimes you have to pay special assessments that hit sometimes out of nowhere. And you have to be planning for those costs. You have to expect those costs. And realistically, those dues should be going up every single year. So if you're not planning for that, if you're not accounting for that, then the financial impact of living in an HOA, especially if you have nosy neighbors that are, kind of, we all know the stereotype of the HOA Karen, right?
Right.
Those people do exist, certainly. So living in an HOA is a paradigm shift. It's not the same as buying a standalone home, right? They're totally different things. I teach people a lot when we do trainings that when you buy in an HOA, you're buying the entire community. You become a joint owner of everything in that community, all the common areas, the shared spaces in that community. You are a joint owner of that. And if you're not prepared for that mindset, then you're probably going to have some significant shocks, and it's not going to fit what you want with your lifestyle.
I would say for me, one of my concerns is it's not just the Karen, maybe quote unquote, that complains, but it feels like the people who feels like the stories I hear are the people who become leaders in the HOA, and then they're micromanagers of everything, right? In fact, I just saw a home renovation story on TV that I like to watch. They were charged $50 a day on a reconstruction project because they didn't get the trash out of the driveway fast enough. And I'm like, it's a total remodel, and they had to get the trash removed quickly, and they didn't do it fast enough.
Yeah, I mean, again, right, like, when you move into an HOA community, you should think about it like a little mini government. And the people who are elected to the board are your quasi city council members, right? Like all of those things are in place. And that requires participation on your part. So if you don't like the fact that there's a rule that they can charge $50 a day for trash left on your driveway, you probably need to get involved and make a case to change that rule.
Aaron, we've got about 45 seconds left, but you mentioned something earlier that are there state laws that regulate HOAs and that give some direction? Because usually I think they have their own bylaws and that's what they live by, but are there state laws that give further guidance in how they're set up and what they can do?
Yes, there are two. There's the Condominium Ownership Act that regulates condos, and then there's the Community Association Act that regulates pretty much everything else. And so every association is going to fall under one of those two statutes.
Oh, that's interesting. I just didn't realize that. Well, can you stick around?
Yeah, happy
Okay,
to.
we're going to have Aaron stick around with us and go a little more in depth on HOAs overall, what it means to live in a community like this, and the resources available to help people to assist those who live in HOAs. That's coming up next on Inside Sources.
What if you had the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to the Xfinity Summer Savings Event, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. Now through June 15th, get gig Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 years with equipment and unlimited data included, no strings, no commitments. And get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. Plus, you can even try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings Event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account taxes and fees extra after 12 months. Regular rates apply to mobile. Select Xfinity. Internet required speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. $50 a month for 5 years. No commitments. Go to Xfinity.com.
So KSL is celebrating America's 250th anniversary and the foundation of our nation. We've talked about this on our show. The determination of Utah's cornerstone innovators. Utah's cornerstones recognizes legacy companies and business builders. The Salt Lake Chamber, as KSL celebrates America's birthday.
Yeah, this is really a fun time. And we actually have with us in studio Derek Miller, who's the president and CEO of the Salt Lake Chamber. Thanks for joining us this morning.
It's so fun to be here in the studio with you. We do a lot of these over the phone, and this is extra fun. The last time I was in here was when I was chief of staff to Governor Herbert, and we were doing, Let the Governor Speak, or Governor Speaks, or something like that.
Yeah, Utah talks to the governor or something. Yeah,
hey, I have to ask you a question before we start, because I was watching you out in the studio here when we were talking about HOAs, and I saw you roll your eyes a few times.
Yeah. No, I have strong feelings about HOAs.
Okay.
For sure. Can you guess which side I agree?
Yeah, I
was
sort of figured it out. Yeah, I think you're more Holly oriented.
No.
Oh, really?
I'm a control freak like you, Greg.
Oh, good.
I'm all in favor of HOAs.
Okay, good.
Okay, look. You have an ABC framework that I thought we could really talk about the A in this little segment. Tell us what the A is for with the chamber.
Can I give what the ABCs are, and then we'll dive into A's?
Sure.
So this is just because I can only remember 3 things at a time. So when I started at the chamber 8 years ago, and I sort of in my own mind created this framework. So we've got advocate is the A, B is building business. We'll get into that later, and C is connecting community.
So tell us what the chamber does to advocate.
Primarily, we're talking about the private sector to the public sector, so business to government. What does government need to know from the voice of business, which is our moniker at the chamber? What do they need to know to keep Utah a business-friendly state? And really, when we say a business-friendly state, what we're talking about is creating an ecosystem where someone can start a business, someone can work at their business, someone has a job at a business. I always like to remind people we use these terms like business, economics, job growth rate, unemployment rate, but at the end of the day, what we're really talking about is people. And people need jobs, and they need opportunity to take care of themselves and their family. So that's writ large what we advocate for.
Derek, do you mind sticking around? We have a lot more questions for you.
Yeah, I would love to. Thanks.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing.
This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. Mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Support comes from Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks so you can make smarter decisions faster. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
All in together now, we can make it better, can we do it? We rope it up. Cause we know how to jump.
Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
America's best warranty from Hyundai includes a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty and 24/7 roadside assistance. Visit your Utah Hyundai dealer for more information.
Inside Sources.
All right, let's continue our discussion on HOAs and the rights that those who live with HOAs have.
So the last segment, we talked about some specific situations, one in particular. In this segment, we're going to talk a little more broadly.
Joining us again is Aaron Ryder, a former host with us on KSL at Night, who's now the director of the Utah HOA Ombudsman Office. Thanks for sticking around.
Oh, so happy to be here.
So we talked a little bit about what it means to live in an HOA and address some specific questions. One of the questions that I have, and I mentioned it to you in the break, is I've got a daughter in her mid-20s. She's looking at trying to get into her first place, and she has a budget, right? So she was out looking at apartments, condos, and she was like, okay, here's the price. I can afford it. And then they tell her there's all these other fees, including this HOA fee. And she's like, are you kidding me? And she feels like it is pricing her out. How are HOAs impacting affordable housing? Because it feels like it's maybe not good.
Well, it's just different, right? So one of the resources we've created in our office is a checklist for new home buyers who are looking at buying in an HOA. And it's 20 pages, I'll tell you that up front.
Wow.
But it's kind of all, if you fill it out before you close, you'll be so much more prepared to buy and live in an HOA. You can find that on our website, hoa.utah.gov, but it runs you through a whole bunch of different questions. For example, if you live in an area like Daybreak, for example, Daybreak has a master HOA association that sits over all of Daybreak, the entire Daybreak area. And as Daybreak has been built out over time, they build out little sub-communities one at a time and create little sub-associations for each one of those sub-communities. So if you move into Daybreak, you're probably going to have you're probably going to be paying dues to a sub-association and the master association. There might even be a third layer in there, maybe a commercial venture, or different kinds of things that you might have to pay into. So it's really important when you move into an HOA to understand the structure of the HOA, right? Is it just one association, or are there multiple layers of associations? Because we've seen people who've gotten bills from names of HOAs they don't recognize, they don't pay the bill, only to find out it's the master association. They didn't realize, and now they're behind on their dues, and now the association's starting to impose liens.
I just have a follow-up then, because I haven't been in an HOA. Is it separate from like your mortgage, so you can't have it all wrapped in at once? You just get these separate bills?
Yeah, because your mortgage payment's going to go to the lender, right? It's going to go to the mortgage company.
Right.
But the association dues are going to go to the association. Most associations are set up as corporate entities. They're nonprofit corporations. And that entity has no way of bringing money in other than through the dues.
Okay.
And all of the expenses that an association has to cover, things like road maintenance or the pool or the clubhouse or landscaping or a gate, right? Any of those features, the association usually has to pay for that. Well, the only place they're going to get that money is through the dues. And so that's why I say, when you buy into an HOA, you're buying the whole community, because you're a joint owner in the pool. You're a joint owner in the clubhouse. Maybe you even need to do a home inspection on the clubhouse or get someone to look at the pool before you buy. Because if there's a big crack in the pool and they don't have a plan to fix it, well, you're going to be on the hook for that financially once you move in.
Aaron, what do some HOAs do wrong, and that's causing the idea that they're somehow a bad enterprise? Again, I've had great success with ours, but I'm a judge in small claims court up in Summit County, and it seems like every once in a while you just get somebody who's mad at their HOA and they're suing, or the HOA is suing them. And what are some of these groups doing wrong? these HOAs?
We do a lot of training for boards, and
oh, that's great.
And I will say, I'm very impressed at the number of boards who are really trying to do the right thing and are trying to do right by their neighbors. These are complicated organizations to run, right? Think about it. If you have private roads, if you have a private pool, if you have a private clubhouse, if you have a condo building with elevators, and if you have shared roofs, right? All of these structural infrastructure components, the HOA is responsible for that. And we're asking volunteer neighbors to be financially in charge of their ongoing maintenance and repair. So most boards are trying to figure out, how do we do this in an effective way? One of the biggest issues we see is transparency. A lot of the requests that we get for our advisory opinions have to do with records access and seeing information. And that makes sense, right? If I'm paying $400 a month to my association, I want to know how that money's being spent, because that's $400 I don't have in my pocket anymore. So we get a lot of requests for records access. The state statutes only require the association to provide so much information on association records, but the more transparent the board is, oftentimes the more helpful that is to the community. Of course, there are limits to that, and there are people who are going to push the limits on that. But generally, that's, I think, one of the things that we see.
I want to follow up with something you said earlier, that there's sort of two parts of state law that govern HOAs, and it made me think about this. When I buy a condo, I think about the HOA because somebody's doing the lawn maintenance, somebody's mowing the grass. That's the same thing. Shoveling the snow, making sure everything's with the pool needs to be renovated, blah blah blah. But when you're a homeowner, it seems like homeowners seems to have this notion that your home is your castle and you can do whatever you want with it. And so the HOAs in the broader community that's not condo, I'm getting to a question here, I promise. It seems to be a little more problematic, because some people think, well, I should be able to put whatever windows I want on my house. I should be able to do whatever I want. So talk to us about what people don't understand about HOAs who are not necessarily in the sort of the strict condo situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So within an HOA, there are 3 different kinds of property designated, right? So you have private property, that's what you own.
Right.
It's what you purchased, it's what's on your deed. So in this case, it would probably be your house. There's common area, where that's the pool, that's the roads, the park, the clubhouse, right? That's owned by the association. So everyone in the association has a joint ownership in those areas, but the association itself manages it. So you can't go out and just repair the road on your own. That's the association's job. Then there's what's called limited common area. So this might be a driveway in a townhouse, or in a condo, it might be the balcony on the condo, right? It's owned by the association, but it's set aside specifically for your use and your exclusive use while you own that property. What's important is that when you buy into an HOA, you need to know what is designated as what. Because, for example, if you buy a single-family detached home in an HOA, maybe the entire lot is private property, but maybe not. Sometimes in HOAs, it's only the property that sits right underneath the house, but your yard is actually limited common area. So it's owned by the association, but set aside for your use. Well, that means the association is going to have a say in how that's landscaped, how that's maintained, and you don't have necessarily the right to go do it yourself. So understanding kind of whose responsibility is what can really help with understanding, okay, I need to pay for this, but I'm not necessarily in charge of handling it, as opposed to what happens within my own home. I am in charge of fixing, the pipes if they break, or I don't know, whatever the thing is. So that's something that I think is really helpful when people are looking at buying into an HOA.
Can you give us an update on the HOA Ombudsman Working Group?
Yeah, so we started this working group last month, actually. This came out of the state housing plan from Governor Cox's office. And the idea here was, so when they came out with the state housing plan, there were a whole bunch of things in there about housing affordability and promotion, all those things. And I met with the folks behind the housing plan, and I said, we don't actually account for HOAs in this. They're all over the place implied, but we don't actually say it, right? So when we're talking about definitions of affordability, we need to include things like dues and some of these other things. So they made some adjustments to that. And one of the changes that they put into the housing plan as a result was, let's do a working group to review and potentially revise HOA regulations in the state of Utah. They're a bigger and bigger part of our life. At this point, Utah is 5th in the nation for the percentage of real estate listings in an HOA. And so they're here, right? They're part of what we're doing. So let's go ahead and look at this and make sure that we're on the right path and we're doing the right thing and including the HOA dynamic in our discussion on housing. We had our first meeting last month in May. We have our next one coming up in a couple weeks. And right now what we're doing is we're just doing a listing tour. We're meeting with different industry segments to say, okay, tell us where your issues are. What are the pain points that you're seeing in this space? Because this is kind of a space that's sort of been under the radar in the housing market for a long, long time. We're trying to bring those issues to light, to surface that, and then to decide, okay, based on this, are there some things we see that we could be looking at for future potential regulatory reform?
Thanks so much for joining us. That's Erin Ryder, Director of the Utah HOA Ombudsman's Office. And if you have something you want us to look into, something we can have a deeper conversation on, you can send us your pitches. You can email us now directly at insidesources@ksl.com. And when we come back, we're going to chat with the Tooele County Clerk about an issue just discovered where close to 9,000 voters got the wrong ballots. Stay with us.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Throughout the day today, the State Treasurer's Office is holding a webathon to try and return millions of dollars. State Treasurer Marlo Oaks says they're asking everyone to check mycash.utah.gov to see if the state has money that belongs to you. But they're also asking that people check for relatives and others as well. He says they want to get this money back into the state's economy. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, a new private sector jobs report is out.
The ADP National Employment Report counted a record 122,000 new positions created in May, with employers of all sizes hiring. ADP says small companies, those with fewer than 20 employees, accounted for 49,000 of the new jobs, easily outpacing companies with over 500 workers.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. A professional baseball player who played for the Salt Lake Bees and then the Los Angeles Angels is putting down his bat and putting on shoulder pads instead. On3 Sports is reporting Jordan Adams enrolled at SMU to play college football. Adams played baseball professionally for 8 years and is now 26. He reportedly is getting a nice NIL deal to switch sports, but the exact details not available. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 454 points to 50,852. Coming up, we'll get closer to 90 degrees today, maybe even hit it. We'll see. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
So we have in studio with us Derek Miller, the CEO of the Salt Lake Chamber. Thanks for joining us again, President and CEO.
So good to be with you.
So we talked about the ABCs last time, and you have the ability now to talk to us about the B, which is build business.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
When I think about what the Chamber does to build business is everything to do with how do we get timely and relevant information and timely, relevant, and accurate information to business owners across the state. And the reason I think of that is because, these 95% of businesses in Utah are in the category of small businesses. They're working hard every single day, trying to make payroll, keep their head above water, be successful, serve their customers. And so they don't have time to know everything else that's going on, but it certainly impacts them. What's happening in the economy? What should they know about tariffs? What should they know about whatever else is happening nationally, internationally, locally? And so our job, as I view it, under build business category, is getting them this information. And probably the best example I could give of that was at the height of the pandemic. Things were changing so quickly. It was just a crazy time. And so this was just our focus. How do we get them the most current information, quickest, and what is accurate? Help them sort through it.
Before we get to the C's, Derek, what do people not know about the Chamber? What do you do that people don't understand?
I think when you say Chamber of Commerce, different people have different thoughts, but there are a variety of chambers. I put them, again, in three categories. I already told you I can only remember three things at once. But, the category one is what most people think of, their local Chamber of Commerce. They're going to a ribbon cutting. They're having a networking luncheon. certainly serves a purpose. Category number 2 is economic development, regional economic development, and category 3 is the A that we talked about, advocacy. What's unique about the Salt Lake Chamber is we're actually all three because we predate the state of Utah. And so as Utah has grown, we've grown. And so we're a local chamber for Salt Lake. We're also a regional chamber for the Salt Lake metropolitan area. And then we act as a statewide chamber in the advocacy work that we do.
Gosh, that's interesting. So tell us about, if I'm not a business owner, what is there any advantage to me following what the chamber's doing?
Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to this timely information, Holly. It really is just what do they need to know, and they don't have to sort through 100 pages. They just get the executive summary of it.
So how would they do that? Is there a newsletter?
Like everyone else, right? We go to our website, and nowadays you don't even have to remember a long URL. You just Google or ask your favorite AI bot, take me to the Salt Lake Chamber website. That's the way you do it.
We need to keep you for one more. Can you stick around?
All right. I'll be here.
Thanks, Derek.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
Another check of emergency traffic brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. And where is it at, Ricky Meese?
Well, the crash that started it all eastbound I-80 at East Canyon in Parleys has been cleared. All lanes are open. But we do have residual delays back to the quarry. If you're traveling any of the freeways in the valley, you're good to go and no problems there. Watch for a crash downtown at 9th South and West Temple. Seeing cracked, curling, or missing shingles on your roof? Don't wait. Save big during S&S Roofing's huge summer sale. From a small repair to a full replacement, SNSRoofingUtah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL's weather forecast for today, 89 the predicted high, 86 tomorrow, so a tiny bit cooler, but then 92 on Saturday. We've got several windy days over the next 7 days in the forecast. Right now it's partly cloudy and 75 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Primary election ballots are hitting mailboxes around the state, and many have already gotten them, in fact. But in Tooele County, thousands of voters got the wrong ballot.
Yeah, the county clerk says that the printer vendor that they used made a mistake, resulting in roughly 9,000 voters getting primary ballots for the wrong party. How does this kind of thing happen, and what happens to correct the problem?
Well, we're going to get some answers from the county clerk herself. Joining us now is Tracy Shaw, the Tooele County clerk. Thanks for joining us, Tracy.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Can you just tell us what happened?
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a whirlwind for sure. Definitely a vendor processing issue. We had a limited number of voters that were sent the incorrect ballot style. And, obviously that's not the expected outcome, but it is what happened. And the issue has been identified with our print vendor and corrected. And replacement ballots are expected to be mailed out to voters Monday, or hopefully sooner if we can, but Monday at the latest is my goal.
It sounds like you caught it very, very quickly and have already remedied the situation. People that have these ballots that were incorrectly sent, if they submit them or vote or think that they're going to send those back to you, they're going to be disregarded, correct? Those particular.
That's exactly right. We have been able to identify which voters received the incorrect ballots. And so with the help of the Lieutenant Governor's office, we have been able to mass spoil those. So I'm painstakingly going over all of that data right now to ensure that the correct ballots were spoiled and that those line up with the ballots that we expect to send out in this new batch of ballots that are being generated at our print vendors' expense. So I'm being really careful with that data, and I want to make sure that the right ballots were deactivated so that, again, if someone does vote that ballot, that it will be rejected by our election equipment that is built specifically to catch those types of things, so that if a ballot ID has been spoiled, then it'll be rejected and not counted, and we can notify the voter that we received it, but a new one is on its way or has already been sent so that they can vote the correct one.
So can you just let us know, as I understand it, the problem was with these ballots is that they were going maybe to non-registered Republicans, but it was for the closed Republican primary. Was that kind of the issue?
Yes, that's exactly right. It had to do with a data matching error with the ballot production. They just didn't quite have it right with the data itself was fine that we provided to them from the state system. So I do want to clarify that the data was clean. The right people were identified as receiving the ballot that they were supposed to, but it had to do with the ballot production piece of it when they separate those or they program their equipment to put the correct ballot in for the correct party type or non-party type, depending on how they register. Then that should insert the correct ballot. And they just had a problem with that programming and with their machine and that equipment. They've identified it and were able to figure out exactly what happened there, and they're correcting it and moving it forward at their expense.
How did you catch it? What happened that alerted you to this? Like somebody got one in the mail and said, "Hey, wait a minute, I got the wrong ballot."
The first notice that I came from one of our candidates that's on the ballot now. When he and his family opened the ballot and didn't see his own name on it, that was an obvious cause for concern for him. So that was the first that I heard. Super grateful for several voters reaching out to say, hey, I think there's a problem here. That helped us to identify it very quickly and alert people very quickly and get the right people in place to get this taken care of. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I'm super grateful that we have, solutions in place and lots of partners that are willing to help correct this so that people can have the right ballots. And I'm glad we've got time as well. I'm glad we send ballots out as early as we do so that we have plenty of runway to correct these errors and still give voters plenty of opportunity to have time to vote accordingly.
How are you notifying the affected voters that that they got a mistaken ballot?
For sure, we plan to send out emails, hopefully today, if I can just confirm that all the data is correct, that we have emails for the vast majority of those that are on that list of being affected. So we'll send out official notice to them. If we don't have an email for them, then every voter on the list that we're generating a new ballot for will receive a new ballot with an insert that announces and explains what happened. So even if they voted that one, they can just vote this second one and it will be counted. So that official notice in the mail will catch everyone for sure.
And what do you need to do, and when can these voters who got the wrong ballots expect the correct ballot?
Well, right now what I need to do is pour over that data really carefully to make sure that we're sending the corrected list to our print vendors so that the right people are receiving that right ballot. And double checking that. And obviously they're holding their people inside of their process accountable to those checks again, having, all this extra attention here. But we've already worked with the Lieutenant Governor's office to spoil the ballots that have been identified already. That's already happened. And then the final step would just be for me to pass that file of new voters, pulling a new report with new generated ballot IDs that are specific to this election and this voter, so that those ballots can be treated as active ballots in the system and recognized as a valid ballot when we receive it later.
And you can expect to do that within the next few days, week or so? I mean, we're still 3 weeks out.
Sure, yeah. I plan to have, the data corrected today if at all possible, but hopefully have that list to them by the end of the day, hopefully tomorrow at the latest. I just want to be really careful and take my time and certainly don't want to rush or have additional mistakes here. So doing my part to make sure that the data is accurate and getting them what they need in a timely fashion so that they can have them out in the mail by Monday is our hope.
So, Tracy, this might be a a bit of an uncomfortable question, but there's been people who don't trust vote by mail. This is probably going to add some fuel to the fire there. What are you doing, or what can you do to help restore that trust?
Well, the trust that I have here, or the reassurance that I would provide, is that I believe the system is working, in that these systems are built to catch these types of problems. And the fact that they do happen. We are humans in the process, and I'd much rather have humans doing it than machines. And people make mistakes. But the point is, we have a solution that can rectify those in a relatively simple manner. I want to be careful, obviously. And we have that expectation of our vendors as well, that we partner. I'm certainly not in the printing industry and don't have the bandwidth or capacity to mail this level of ballots myself. And so we have to have good partners that can meet those expectations. And I feel like our vendor is doing all they can to rectify that, to correct it and get it right. Do I feel like this is, causing problems for fraud or people being able to vote twice or things like that, like the accusations that will inevitably come or have already? That's not the case. The systems are there. We can spoil those ballots to ensure that there's really going to only be one vote that's counted for each of these voters. And so to me, the security of it is still very much there and present and working exactly as it should be.
All right. Thank you so much. That was Tracy Shaw, Tooele County Clerk. And when we come back, we're going to stick with primary elections, but we're going to look at how primaries went around the country yesterday. We'll be right back.
Hey, I have to give a shout out to Soda Diet Nutrition, a group that I got hooked up with about 2 months ago after I decided whatever I was doing to help me lose weight wasn't working. So I contacted Soda and got on a program that allowed me to do my weight loss based on food only, not pills, not injections, not anything like that. They told me I could probably count on losing 3 to 5 pounds a week, and I lost almost 30 pounds in 7 weeks, got down to the weight I wanted to get to it that quickly, seriously. And it wasn't a lot, but for me, 30 pounds was just looking a little goofy. So anyway, I got on the diet. It was based on food. It was based on things that I could just go buy at the grocery store. I didn't have to buy product through them or anything like that. And they hooked me up with a nutritionist and a coach, went through a program every week, got to the weight I needed, and now I'm on sort of a maintenance plan. My wife was on board. She obviously didn't need to lose weight, but she got on board anyway. We cooked together as she helped me out here, and it worked out well. Soda, SOTA, Diet Nutrition. Say it with me. Soda is state of the art.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
We're back with Derek Miller, President and CEO of Salt Lake Chamber. We're talking about Utah's Cornerstone legacy. We're talking about some things that are happening in our community, and Salt Lake Chamber is our first Cornerstone recognition.
And Derek, look, you're with the Chamber, and you said something in the last segment where you said the Chamber predated Utah statehood. I did not know that.
Yeah, 1887 was our founding year.
Wow, that's crazy and cool. So you were talking to us about the ABCs. We've talked about A and B. Can you tell us about C?
C is actually the most important. This is connecting community. And I say it's the most important because you hear people talk all the time about Utah's secret sauce, which is another C, collaboration. I'll toss out even more C's, and that is common ground. That's sort of our informal slogan at the Chamber, to bring people to common ground. When you come to a Chamber board meeting, it's probably the only place in the state where you're going to see, of course, business leaders, but you're going to see education leaders, university presidents, nonprofit leaders, government leaders, elected officials, as well as cabinet members. So what we do is bring all these groups together, all these individuals together onto common ground, and we talk about what are the challenges facing our community. And then we talk about what are we going to do collectively, in collaboration, in cooperation, to overcome those challenges. It's always forward-looking, and it's always about making sure that we are building prosperous communities.
We've got about 30 seconds. But, Derek, can you tell us how your collaboration works with, say, the state legislators, county officials, and in your case, Salt Lake City officials?
Well, it first starts with knowing them. You have to just know who these people are. And as you have both experienced, when you get to know people, you find out people are mostly just people. And, you may disagree on how to get somewhere, but most of the time our goals are the same. Most of the time that we have them in common, and we work together with all that you mentioned, the legislators, the governor's office, the mayors, the county commissioners. They're good people. They have good hearts, and we want to work with them.
Can I just have one final question? So the Salt Lake Chamber, and now I know that there's a Utah Chamber. Is that one and the same, or are they? How does that work?
Yeah, this is more than you'd want to know, but very quickly, I would just say, as we've grown, since 1887, as we've grown, before there was a state of Utah, we have organizations that are statewide, and so sometimes that's caused confusion in the marketplace. For example, why is the Women's Business Center of Utah located in the Salt Lake Chamber? So our board decided just a few months ago to create an umbrella portfolio organization that is the Utah Chamber, and all of our organizations, Women's Business Center of Utah, Salt Lake Chamber, the Downtown Alliance, the Economic Development Corporation of Utah, all of them reside as portfolio organizations inside the Utah Chamber.
All right. Thanks, Derek. Thanks for joining us. Derek Miller.
Thank you.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
And expanded Inside Sources.
As we talked about with the Tooele County Clerk, Utah's primary election is just under 3 weeks away, but some states had theirs this week.
Yeah, we talked about it just briefly yesterday, looking forward to some of these big races. California, in fact, is one. So there were some interesting takeaways from the 6 states that held their primaries yesterday. So we're going to talk about California first. In that one, remember we said there were 60. I was wrong. There were 61 candidates on the ballot. I can't even imagine how big that ballot is. 61 candidates on the ballot to be governor of the state of California. And because the way they do their primary, it's really the jungle primary.
Yeah, open primary, really.
So the top 2 vote getters go on. Doesn't matter what their party is.
Yeah, and so it seems that the person who's currently leading, and they're not done counting the votes for some reason, maybe just because it's such a big state, I think is a Republican. The person that seems to be leading right now.
Yes, and I suspect that he might hit his peak with this primary. I don't know that for sure, but California had so many Democrats on the ballot, right? The top vote getter for the Democrats is former cabinet member Xavier Becerra. So those 2 are likely at this point to be on the general election ballot. But like you said, they're not all done yet counting all those ballots. But those are the 2 that look like the top front runners.
Yeah, and when they were looking at the top maybe 6 or 7 front runners, 5 of them were Democrats and 2 were Republican. And I think people felt like the Democrats were going to split that vote up, and a Republican may very well come out ahead. But yeah, he's Hilton is his last name. Is leading. Right now.
He's a TV commentator. He would be the first Republican governor were he to win in November. He'd be the first Republican since Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, really?
It's been a little while. Yeah.
I'll be back.
Schwarzenegger will not.
No.
So look, there's also the LA mayor's race. We were talking about that yesterday. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is going to a runoff. So she had a really hard first term. She had the most destructive wildfire in city history during that, right? And then there's an ongoing issue about homelessness. But she did survive to go to they're calling it the runoff, but we would call it the general election in November.
And that was another jungle primary.
Yeah,
it
and
seemed
you
like
know,
where everybody, it's a free-for-all.
You know what's interesting is the Associated Press that calls these races, they haven't called who the second person is yet.
Oh, they don't know who the second is yet.
Right, because she didn't clear 50%, so she's not the clear winner, but they haven't called the second candidate, which is super interesting.
That's another thing we should mention about these jungle primaries is that the way they're set up, if one person wins 50 and one vote,
50% plus one.
There's no general election. They win right then at the primary.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I like it. I kind of like the idea.
It's interesting. There's been a little bit of discussion in Utah sometimes about could we do this open primary or jungle primary. I'm not opposed all the way to something like that. I think that would be so interesting. One of the races that I didn't follow closely, but I do know the person who came out as the Democratic nominee for governor, that's in New Mexico. So it's former Interior Secretary Deb Haaland who got the Democratic nomination. So if you remember, she actually was a member of Congress. I think she was the second Native American woman only to be elected to Congress. And she was the first Native American woman to serve in the cabinet when she was Secretary of the Interior. And if elected in November, she would be the first Native American woman to serve as a governor in the United States.
In the country.
Yeah, in the whole country.
Yeah, and former Mayor Greg Hull was the other one that's going to face off against her in the general election for New Mexico governor.
Yeah, and he's the Republican candidate who will be on the ballot in November.
I was going to ask you. Deb Haaland is a Democrat.
Haaland, yeah.
Haaland, yes.
Yeah. She's a Democrat, and in fact, I remember she came out to Utah to visit. I think maybe it was Bears Ears, but she's been out here to Utah. She understands the West. She understands, land issues. Of course, she'll be focused on her state as the governor of that state. But it's interesting, right? Because she's been a member of Congress. She's been a member of an administration as the Secretary of the Interior.
Clinton's administration or Obama's?
Obama's.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So she's, I think she's great. So, in
Iowa.
Iowa.
Or do you want to go to New Jersey?
New Jersey.
Okay.
In New Jersey, so we've talked about the missing GOP congressman who hasn't been seen publicly for 3 months, hasn't cast a vote since the beginning of March. Well, he actually has an opponent.
Yeah, Rebecca Bennett won the Democratic primary, and she'll run against missing Representative Tom Keene Jr., who no one has seen much for about 3 months, apparently. He didn't do much campaigning. Maybe he didn't have an opponent to worry about.
So, well, I don't know about that, but Rebecca Bennett is a former Navy helicopter pilot. She won the Democratic primary. So I will say this seat was not one that was on the GOP's radar as a potential loss. But because Keene has been MIA in all sense of the word, like nobody has seen him, heard from him, had a vote cast by him, they're worried that this seat could be in play.
Well, and he cannot maintain that through November. I mean, if he doesn't show up for anything between now and November, I mean, he's almost certainly not going to win.
So,
and somebody's going to flush him out. And whatever's going on with him is something we don't know, but that it may be a problem. Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know, right? But that's an issue. It's a huge issue, and for Republicans who they're really hoping to maintain their hold on the House. This puts a seat that they hadn't expected to be in play. Now it's in play. So it is interesting. Democrats are going to put a lot of effort into flipping this seat. And voters in that district, they've ousted 2 incumbents during midterm elections over the last decade. That's a lot of turnover for one district. So truly, truly a swing district.
And we don't know a lot about Rebecca Bennett, but she certainly
We
came
don't
out
know a lot,
ahead.
but of course New Jersey
Mexico,
does.
The New Jersey voters certainly do, yeah.
Okay, and then what else happened? Oh, Iowa. You're right. So one of the things about Iowa is that I don't follow a lot of different state elections, but I saw an ad after Josh Turek won the state's Democratic primary for U.S. Senate on Tuesday. He's a man who's in a wheelchair, and he did an ad that said something like "push with me" as it shows, let's push ahead, as it shows him pushing in his wheelchair. It actually made me teary-eyed. Oh
Good for
my
him.
gosh, right?
Wasn't he like an Olympian or something?
Yeah,
He won some
Paralympian. He's won gold medals in Paralympics. So Joni Ernst is retiring from that seat. She's Republican, so of course Republicans are trying to hold that seat as well. And it's a current U.S. representative,
Ashley Hinson.
Yeah, Ashley Hinson, who won the Republican primary there. So Iowa, is like the state where everybody goes to start their presidential campaigning, but they've certainly in the Senate, they have been Republican for quite a while. And so it would be interesting here. So President Trump backed a person for the primary for governor, but his candidate didn't win this time.
Which is one of the few that hasn't.
One of the few.
Hey, I know we're running out of time, but I got to give a shout out to the Tooele County clerk. They handled that about as well as they possibly could. I know we're 3 weeks away from our primaries here in Utah, and I think they'll be fascinating. There are a couple of races that we're all watching, but boy, I think the people in Tooele County should feel comfortable that their clerk did a great job, and they're all going to have their votes counted accurately.
All right, look, in the next hour, I'm not surprised, but the Trump administration is actually backing away from their massive anti-weaponization fund. We're going to talk more about that when we come back after this break.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top national story this hour from ABC News. Sources say a standoff with a hostage taker at a bank building in Bakersfield, California is over. ABC's Alex Stone has details from California.
All of the hostages who were inside the Chase Bank building have now been safely rescued by the FBI and Bakersfield police. Since yesterday, they'd been trying to negotiate with the man who was known to have a long criminal history in the area, who went into the bank building and claimed to have a bomb strapped to his chest. On Tuesday night, he released 2 of the hostages. At one point, police could see hostages inside the building on their knees, but sources say they've all been rescued. They are safe. The suspect is dead. It is now over.
Other national stories KSL is following. The vote count is underway in California after Tuesday night's primary. ABC's Alex Stone is in Los Angeles.
The vote count is underway right now here in Los Angeles County overnight. Sheriff's deputies had the task of securely moving ballots from polling stations to the vote counting center. They did that in patrol cars and actually in helicopters as well. From the more outlying areas of the county, they fly ballots to be counted in the rescue helicopters to get them moved. The vote counting is underway. In closer races, it can take a while. It's not always immediate. Counties have 13 days now to count all of the votes.
Taking a look at your money at this moment, it is red across the board. The Dow Jones is down 429. That's 0.8%. The S&P 500 is down 44 points. That's nearly 0.6%. And the Nasdaq is down 246 points. That is 0.9%. Coming up, it's going to get hot and stay hot this week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it. But my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Get ready for bigger action, faster rides, and edge of your seat thrills. The Ute Stampede Rodeo and Extreme Bulls returning to Utah, July 8th through 11th. See elite athletes compete in PRCA rodeo showmanship with some of sport's biggest payouts. Buckle up for Extreme Bulls, delivering Utah's ultimate showdown. New dates, bigger crowds, limited tickets. Don't miss it. Secure yours now at UtestampedeRodeo.com. That's UtestampedeRodeo.com.
The Children's Center Utah provides a unique service in our communities by meeting the needs of very young children and their caregivers. Here's a Little Minds, Big Hope message from Dr. Kyle Smith, the Children's Center Utah's child and adolescent psychiatrist.
Did you know picky eating isn't always about food? It can be a child's way of responding to stress, anxiety, or change. For young children, emotions show up in everyday routines like meals. Find out more at childrencenterutah.org.
A family office is a team built to handle the three biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 855-TRAJAN-1. That's 855-TRAJAN-1.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Officials are giving an update to the Bakersfield bank hostage standoff that happened yesterday. We're dipping into that right now.
Special Agent in Charge, Sid Patel from the FBI, will take the second portion where he'll touch on the elements of the FBI as well as how it concluded. First and foremost, I do want to let everyone know that we're incredibly relieved to report that all of the hostages that were involved have been safely recovered and reunited with their families. There were a total of 10 members of our community whose lives were changed yesterday. Unexpectedly, but we are thankful that they have been reunited with their loved ones after this ordeal. Throughout the night, their families questioned whether or not they would be seen again. But we are very grateful for the outcome and the fact that we've been. Regarding the specific details that led up to this, at approximately 12:59 p.m. yesterday afternoon, we began receiving calls related to a suspect that was in possession of an explosive device who had entered the Chase Bank building at 1515 17th Street. As the situation unfolded, our responding personnel and dispatchers confirmed that the adult male suspect had barricaded himself within the second floor of the building and had taken several hostages. The suspect advised he had explosives attached to his person, which our personnel could see as well. He also told law enforcement that additional explosives had been attached to some of the hostages, which we confirmed based on our own observations. These hostages were confirmed to be employees of the Kern County Superintendent of Schools on the second floor of the building. Numerous other employees and patrons had fled the building during the suspect's takeover, and we immediately began evacuating the surrounding area to minimize additional safety concerns to our community. While this was being done, we were simultaneously communicating with the suspect in an effort to release the hostages and elicit a peaceful surrender. During the negotiations process, we were able to secure the release of 2 hostages, the first being at 3:59 p.m. and the second being at 8:24 p.m. As the event continued, negotiations did stall, and the suspect refused to release any more victims. Given the nature of the circumstances and the resources, our department requested the assistance from the FBI, and we elected to transition our tactical teams for the remainder of the situation. The FBI assumed operational control at approximately 9:02 p.m. yesterday evening. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Special Agent in Charge, Sid Patel, and then I'll follow up with some concluding remarks at the end.
Thank you very much. My name is Sid Patel. I'm the Special Agent in Charge for the Sacramento FBI Field Office. This has been a horrific event. We know the Bakersfield community has been following the situation closely, and we thank you for your patience. Tuesday afternoon, June 2nd, at approximately 1:30 p.m., we received a call for assistance from the Bakersfield PD in response to reports of a bomb threat at the Chase Bank building located at the corner of Chester Avenue and 17th Street. We responded within minutes of that call. We have an office not too far from here, with more than 150 FBI personnel to assist. With this response investigation, including our Special Weapons and Tactics, our SWAT teams, not just from our Sacramento SWAT team, but our LA SWAT team as well, our crisis negotiation teams, and our Los Angeles, Sacramento, and San Francisco FBI bomb techs that were here. We also had agents, analysts, victim specialists, professional staff, all trained for these types of incident responses that were here. The Bakersfield Police Department was supported with every available resource, including the FBI's hostage rescue team, which was deployed all the way from Quantico on the East Coast from its base of operations. They're our version of special forces for the FBI. They're the best of the best, and they come out for situations like this. Now, we refer to them as HRT, Hostage Rescue Team. The FBI HRT, they have extensive training and experience in crisis response and deployed to situations like this across the country and even internationally on some occasions. We're grateful for their quick response. The subject, his name was Anthony Scott Searles Harris. That's Anthony Scott, and I'll spell the last name Searles Harris, Harris. He was a 41-year-old white male who served in the U.S. Army from 2006 to 2007. However, he was dishonorably discharged for going AWOL. That's absent without leave. He was no stranger to law enforcement and has a criminal history of using weapons to commit violent offenses. In 2014, he was charged with sex acts with a child under 14. He's a registered sex offender. He had tied up 5 of the hostages on the 2nd floor of the Kern County Superintendent's of School office in the Chase building. At approximately 4 p.m., Harris released one of the 5 hostages. At approximately 8:30 p.m., he released a second hostage. Bakersfield PD did an amazing job of this. Their negotiators, their SWAT teams, we were impressed. Fantastic work. At 9 p.m., our FBI SWAT teams from Los Angeles and Sacramento, we transitioned and took over the crisis site, but working jointly with Bakersfield PD and our negotiators. At 2 a.m., after our hostage rescue team had arrived, put together all the site surveys and information that they do, they transitioned and took over the scene. That was around 2 a.m. At approximately 4:30 a.m. this morning, that's when the hostage rescue team neutralized this subject. And let me be clear, he had tied up 5 of the hostages, but there were 10 hostages in there, and they were all unharmed physically. I'm sure there'll be mental scars that they'll be living with, and we'll have our victim specialists to help them. We're grateful to the Bakersfield Police Department. I've got to tell you, in the 34 counties that we serve here in the Eastern District, they're one of our strongest allies. They have an amazing workforce here, led by Chief Brent Stratton, and Assistant Chief Jeremy Blakemore. Thank you for their partnership, their professionalism during the response to this incident and continued investigation. I can tell you, for the Bakersfield community, you should be proud of the police department and who serves and protects you every single day. I know I am. We also want to thank a lot of our federal partners. ATF, they came from San Francisco to help us out. The Homeland Security Investigations, also San Francisco based. DEA, U.S. Marshals, Air Force OSI, the U.S. Attorney's Office, our local and state partners, California OES, Office of Emergency Services, CHP, they've been a strong partners for us across the state. Sacramento County Sheriff's Department Bomb Squad, they flew down here to help us out. Kern County Sheriff's Department, Bakersfield Fire, they were here throughout the night. Great partners. EMS Halls Ambulance Service, they're also tremendous. And all the other local, state, and federal partners that were here. I mean, we had quite a bit of a response here. It was truly one team, one fight effort here. Our FBI personnel that live in the greater Bakersfield area and work in our Bakersfield resident agency, we have an office here not too far like I mentioned, know how strong this community is. And we stand together as we heal from this incident. We also want you and the public to know how you can help us. If it's an immediate threat, of course, call 911. But if you have information about this ongoing investigation that can help us, reach out to us. Go to tips.fbi.gov or call us at 1-800-CALL-FBI. I'd like to turn it back now to Assistant Chief Blake Moore. Thank you.
So that was the FBI agent there in Bakersfield, California, talking to us about this hostage situation inside a California office building that does have a bank and a school district office.
Yeah, and I just have to say, just from my own experiences practicing law, robbing a bank is one of the worst. I mean, not that it's ever a smart thing to do, but people just don't get away with that. It always ends badly.
I saw some of these news stories unfolding yesterday where that there was a bomb threat. Well, look, a lot of times they're not real, but they verified he had a bomb strapped to himself. And this press conference let us know that he had attached explosive devices to some of the hostages.
Yeah, and he'd formerly served in the military. Boy, this is a good situation. Ended up good for the hostages, it sounds like.
He's no longer alive.
Yeah.
So...
all right. Well, next on Inside Sources, Governor Cox is calling on Utahns to return to faith, family, and country in a declaration that differs largely from the governor's previous June declarations of Pride Month. We'll break that down after this break.
But first, don't forget to tune in to KSL News Radio all day tomorrow for Give-a-thon 2026 because you can make a difference for kids at Primary Children's Hospital. You can donate now at kslkids.com or text SMILE to 57500 and tune in tomorrow between 8 and 5 for special coverage of this fantastic opportunity to make a difference. And special thanks to Utah Hyundai Dealers, a generous sponsor of this year's Give-a-thon.
There's one choice for Congress in Utah's 3rd District, Celeste Malloy. Celeste Malloy has President Trump's complete and total endorsement. She fought alongside President Trump to secure the border, grow the economy, protect the Second Amendment, and deliver results for Utah families. Thanks to Trump-endorsed Celeste Malloy, Utah families are seeing massive tax savings, safer communities, and a country that's getting back on track. President Trump and Utah can count on Celeste Malloy to deliver solutions. She will never let you down. On June 23rd, vote for Celeste Malloy, the Trump-endorsed candidate. She has President Trump's
complete and total endorsement.
Paid for by Winning for Women Action Fund and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.wfwactionfund.com. Winning for Women Action Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Running a small business means juggling a lot. Your network has to handle it all. That's where a fiber-only provider falls short. You deserve a partner who gives you a greater advantage. Introducing the Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A first-ever combination of the largest, fastest fiber-powered network, the most reliable Wi-Fi, gig speeds with equipment and security included, and a 5-year price lock. Plus, it's all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. The Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A new standard for small business with reliability, security, and savings in one. When you add it all up, no one does business like Comcast Business.
Switch today. Get started for $60 a month for 12 months when you add an advanced solution to a qualifying internet package. Limited time offer. New customers only. Requires 300 megabits per second internet, security edge, and additional qualifying service. 1-year agreement, paperless billing, and autopay with bank account required. Taxes and fees extra. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness.
The ridgeline is imposing the escarpments, the drops.
A place where survival,
it's dark now, I have nothing,
is never certain. In 2011, an Australian hiker vanished.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
The mountains have decided to keep him.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts.
You know what you can trust? The protection you get when you bundle home and auto insurance with Progressive. You know what you can't trust? Everything else, apparently. Like when you saw that article that said that thing you eat every day is a superfood and great for your gut health, but then 30 seconds later, a different article warns you to avoid it and it's taking years off your life. Well, which is it? Kind of a big difference there. Anyway, bundle home and auto insurance with Progressive for reliable coverage in a reliably unreliable world. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
America's best warranty from Hyundai includes a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty and 24/7 roadside assistance. Visit your Utah Hyundai dealer for more information.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Well, Governor Spencer Cox used to declare June as Pride Month here in Utah, but he began to move away from that in the last few years.
Now, this year, the governor's declaring June as Fidelity Month, and he says this is his call to return to America's core values.
The governor's declaration comes amid several Republican states choosing to celebrate traditional families, nuclear families, and pro-life movements instead of the LGBTQ pride.
So we have Brigham Tonko in studio with us, and Brigham, you're the person who broke this story because I think the declaration was just kind of put up quietly on the governor's website. So tell us about how you found this and what you found out as you reported on the story, and thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I was looking back a year ago to my coverage of the governor's statement on the Pride Month in June and tracking how it had kind of changed over the past couple of years. What he did last year was not issue a formal declaration at all. He posted a statement on X saying he was using the month of June to reflect on what brings us together and invited Utahns to build bridges of understanding. So as opposed to declaring June Pride Month or Bridge Building Month as he did in 2024 when he was up for re-election last year, he didn't issue a declaration at all. And then this year, as of the morning of June 2nd, so yesterday, he hadn't issued a statement or anything. So it was even more quiet than in 2025. And so as I was looking on the state website for declarations, I saw that they indeed had issued a declaration proclaiming June as Fidelity Month, which is part of a movement started by a conservative scholar named Robert George, who is known for his kind of efforts on civility and reaching across the aisle and working with people who think differently than him. And this initiative is to call on Americans to rededicate themselves to these, what they call core principles of God, marriage, family, country, and community.
And does Governor Cox's declaration of Fidelity Month include that language, or does he just call it Fidelity Month? I'm just wondering where he got this from, and it sounds like you found a source. Does the governor seem to track that?
Very closely. The declaration that the governor issued seems to refer to the same poll and to the same talking points that are on Robert George's website and blog. So I think very closely it was actually the governor's team confirmed that they had coordinated with Robert George, this conservative scholar, a couple months ago on this. And so what the declaration says is that fidelity is defined as dedication to faith, family, and country, and that the country can't survive ahead of its 250th anniversary in July unless the people are kind of united on those values.
So what's interesting to me is how this feels like a shift. So in 2016, the governor, who was not the governor, he was the lieutenant governor at the time, So 10 years ago this month, he made national headlines because he apologized for previous attitudes he had held against people who were members of the LGBTQ community after a shooting, if you remember, at a gay club in Florida, in Orlando. And so it felt like, hey, we're reaching out. Even though I'm not a member of that community, I know people who are. I should have treated people better when I was younger. And then the first 3 years of his governorship, he did issue Pride Month declarations. So how are members of Utah's LGBTQ community responding to something like this?
Yeah, to build on what you said, during his first 3 years in office, he did issue an official declaration declaring June as Pride Month, making Utah one of the few Republican-led states to do so. I think there may have only been one or two other red-leaning states that did that. And this kind of led to this national reputation that may be reflected in this Time magazine profile that called him the red state governor who's not afraid to be woke. I don't think he liked that headline, but that was kind of the perception around him among some. And then in talking with some of the LGBTQ advocates here in the state yesterday, including Marina Lowe of Equality Utah, she said that this feels like a very clear departure from that. And even if this was not the intention, she said that the reaction she had was a feeling that Fidelity Month was supposed to stand in contrast to what Pride Month was. And so her message was that, the LGBTQ community or people that identify that way can also support the values of faith, family, marriage, and patriotism.
You kind of answered this a minute ago, but it seems like other states are joining this as well. You mentioned several in what I've seen here: Tennessee, Indiana, Oklahoma. They also did the same thing.
So Arkansas did the exact same thing, declaring June as Fidelity Month. What you're seeing from some of these other deeply red states may be framed more on the nose as a reaction to Pride Month. That's certainly the way that they're messaging it. So in Tennessee and Alabama, you're seeing the governors endorse a nuclear family month or a stronger families month. Same with, Tennessee, Alabama, and Indiana were the three that did that. And then Oklahoma, they declared June Life Month, which was to focus on the importance of protecting unborn human life. And so we are seeing what has become almost a partisan tit for tat over what we're going to call this month of June. And, some might see that as being kind of ironic or maybe reflective of the state of the country or the continued state of our culture war as the country turns 250 just next month.
So I'm curious. I mean, you mentioned Marina Lowe, but how do you know? Is the governor or anybody in the governor's administration, are there any efforts to make sure that members of the LGBTQ community feel welcome in Utah, or are they maybe not caring if they feel offended?
I haven't seen a statement coming from the governor's office regarding June or Pride Month yet, although there could still be one. Maybe there will be one if they feel like they want to clarify the relationship between Fidelity Month and what used to be called, or what they used to declare as Pride Month. But what I think that the governor has done consistently, even since the shift away from declaring Pride Month, is emphasize, whether it was in 2024 and 2025, saying that this should be a time to focus on building bridges between different Utah communities, or even his reaction to different pieces of legislation during the legislative session where he said, listen, I agree that maybe that these pride symbols shouldn't be endorsed in public schoolrooms, but maybe this piece of legislation isn't the right way to approach it, or it's actually going to make the problem worse. So I think that the governor's messaging and his approach to the legislative process has been consistent in trying to make sure that even if he believes that the state of Utah is a place where traditional family values are something that many people share, that doesn't have to come at the expense of LGBTQ folks feeling welcome.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like there just wasn't much of a heads up about this. You found it, and maybe there was some, just looking at the last 3 or 4 years, that it was leaning toward this, but were you surprised when you saw this declaration and suddenly seeing this Fidelity Month?
I was surprised. I had not been given a heads up or found this advertised anywhere. And
there were no press releases, Brigham.
Again, and as of yesterday night, the governor had not acknowledged the Fidelity Month on his official account on X or social media or through press releases. And so it seemed like the plan had been to be quiet this year as far as Pride Month goes.
Interesting. So there is also a Utah Pride Festival that's going on this weekend. It's still going to take place. There's going to be a parade on Sunday, the Utah Pride Parade. It's interesting to me because I think you're trying to find a way to say we value these things, faith, family, patriotism, and I agree with Marina that you can have people who are members of the LGBTQ community who also espouse those. But I also saw with Gallup that there's a little bit of drop, not a lot, but there is a little bit of drop in national public support for same-sex marriage, for example, that it's now 65%, used to be 71% in, I think, 22 and 23. So there's a little bit of a shift, but it is really interesting conversation. And as a mom who has a child who is a member of the LGBTQ community, my dance is, how do I make you feel supported, right? I love this child. I want them to feel supported and welcome in our family and family events and stuff like this, though, makes them feel like there's no place for them in Utah. So I am a little concerned about the message it sends, but I'll just double down and make sure that this child knows that I love them.
Well, one thing I'll add is speaking with a source named Skylar Sorensen. He lives in Utah County. He has a following on social media as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who is in a heterosexual marriage but says he has same-sex attraction. And he talked about how he feels comfortable, or maybe more comfortable, with state leaders emphasizing what he thinks is a pro-family message and these pro-family type values focusing on traditional marriage, and that there are some cases where maybe many Utahns would feel uncomfortable with these endorsements coming from state leaders of Pride Month, just because it carries with it so many different interpretations, and also maybe some events or performances or even symbols that many Utahns, including this one I spoke to, don't think are family friendly.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Brigham. Up next on Inside Sources, we're moving towards the United States 250th birthday, so we're going to talk about our history and what it means for our future. America 250 coverage next.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top national story this hour from ABC News. The hostage standoff at a bank building in California has ended. The suspect is dead and all hostages have been rescued. ABC's Melissa Adon is in Bakersfield. She's telling us how these events unfolded.
Police got a call yesterday around 1 in the afternoon that there was a bomb threat, and it was a man inside the Chase Bank building. Well, police started negotiating with him, and he was holding a number of people captive inside one of the rooms in the building. At one point, he did release 2 people separately. And overnight, police searching a home in neighboring Olydale that actually may have ties to all of this bomb threat situation. Well, look, at this point, authorities do not have a motive.
In local news, we have good news about the family whose travel van was stolen from them while on vacation in Oregon. The owner of an Advanced Four-Wheel Drive Solutions heard about what happened to Jerem and Cassidy Nelson and contacted the family through KSL, offering them a free van, saying it's an extra their company no longer needs, and he's in a position to help. Jerem says he's grateful for people like this.
Our kids are just so overwhelmed, just saying, oh man, there's so many good people that really help us out, and people do care and stuff. So that's been really good, I think, to show that to our kids.
The van is expected to be delivered to the family in Oregon today. Taking a look at your money, we've got red across the board right now. Still, the Dow Jones is down 451 points. That's 0.88%. The S&P 500 is down 51 points. That's a little under 0.7%. And the NASDAQ is down 290 points. That's a little over 1%. Coming up, start blowing up that kiddie pool. This weekend's going to be hot. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hey, honey, I was thinking about updating the house a little.
A little?
You know, new siding, new windows, gutters that actually work, maybe even a new deck.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, I called RGS Exteriors.
Well, that's a good decision.
When it comes to upgrading your home's exterior, the right choice is easy. RGS Exterior specializes in siding, windows, gutters, and decking that transform the look and protection of your home.
Hi, Tim Brown, RGS Exteriors. My family has been building and improving homes in Utah for 5 generations, and taking care of homeowners is something we take very serious. With over 1,300 5-star Google reviews, 21 Best of State awards, and our 10-year workmanship warranty, homeowners know they can trust RGS. Over 200,000 families across Utah have trusted RGS Exteriors with their home, and so can you. Schedule your free estimate today at 801-280-3110, 801-280-3110.
How will we ever defeat the British?
By remembering what we're fighting for.
General.
A country of our own. That will one day celebrate 250 years. How will we celebrate, sir? By going to Strong Volkswagen, where every vehicle is a dime.
A dime, sir?
Yes, 1 dime down at Strong Volkswagen.
Hear, hear.
With great price reductions on 250 vehicles.
It sounds glorious, sir.
Oh, it is. Lease new 2026 Jetta S, just $235 a month, $235. All-wheel drive Atlas, just $432 a month. And you get a lifetime warranty. Lifetime. And financing, sir? Those with a job and a dime shall drive away.
1 dime down.
The 250 sales event.
Save thousands with event pricing on 250 vehicles.
At Strong Volkswagen. For over 70 years, Strong Volkswagen.
Located downtown, strongvw.com.
strongvw.com.
And no tax, right, sir?
Well, for details, call 801-596-2200.
Progressive provides protection for your boat and other outdoor vehicles so you can explore new things.
Oh, I can finally try pesto.
We meant like water skiing.
I've just never had pesto.
Or maybe take the boat somewhere new.
I mean, is pesto spicy or sweet? Oh, guess we'll find out, right?
Right. Bundle home or auto insurance with your boat, RV, or motorcycle and stay protected with Progressive while you explore.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not ready for pesto.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-895-1414. That's 800-895-1414.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's Ricky Meese.
We've had some heavy and slower traffic moving southbound I-15 in Utah County between Timpanogos Highway and 2100 North Lehigh. Whatever was slowing it down seems to be gone, and traffic is starting to pick up the pace a little bit better now. Downtown drivers, heads up. We have traffic lights malfunctioning along 1300 South at State and Main Street. Approach any dark intersection with caution and treat as a four-way stop. Turn everyday spaces into blooms of beauty with Olson's Greenhouse. Locally grown premium flowers designed for porches, patios, and containers. Learn more at ogg.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We got 89 for a high today, 86 tomorrow, but by the weekend, it's going to be 92 on Friday and try on 95 for Saturday. Right now, though, it's 79 degrees and partly cloudy downtown. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSL News Radio. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
As we move towards our nation's 250th birthday, we're taking time here on Inside Sources to really look at what makes our country so great.
And one thing we often hear about right now is, boy, these are really unprecedented times. But are we really having unprecedented times? Or we can make an argument that we've seen these things before?
So some people say what's old is new again. And so we're going to talk more about that with our next guest, which I'm super excited about. It's Dr. Greg Jackson, the host of History That Doesn't Suck podcast, super popular, and a professor at UVU. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Jackson.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So we just want you to help set it up for us, because we keep hearing over and over, we live in unprecedented times. We live in unprecedented times. Do we really?
No, not at all. In fact, an earlier version of the title of my book, Been There, Done That, How Our History Shows What We Can Overcome, was Precedented Times. We decided it was a little too clever, but no, I tackle three subjects in particular with stories that prove today is simply precedented, not unprecedented. The angles I go for are fake news, contested elections, and political violence, all of which have been a part of the American story from day one.
Okay, so for me, and I'm a lot older than you here, Dr. Jackson, I think...
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
but
these seem to be pretty unprecedented. Tell us when we've experienced anything like this before.
Sure. Well, that's a big, broad thing.
I know.
So let me give you some specific examples. One of the first fake news examples I give is Benjamin Franklin, 1782. He's in Paris, where he is about to negotiate the treaty that's going to end the American Revolution. However, as he's first having his early conversations with Richard Oswald, which is one of the Brits who's been sent over to negotiate, they're old friends. They've known each other back in the Americas, but now are on opposite sides in this negotiation. He gives Richard a paper with some of his talking points from a conversation they had, and he realizes after the fact it had a few things that would actually work against the American cause. So Ben goes home. Remember, he's an old newspaper man, and he produces a supposed extra from a Boston newspaper, a real Boston newspaper, that details the story of British troops having scalped, along with Native American allies, hundreds of Americans. We're talking children. I mean, he details how many scalps have been cut off and are found in this big peltry. Problem is, even with all these details they give, names real places, real people, it's all made up. He made the story up in his residence in Paris and then disseminated that across Europe and let it get picked up in British newspapers.
My goodness.
Fake news.
Did that to strengthen his hand.
Yeah.
Wow. So that has been going on. In fact, I had to laugh when you said those three things. It was fake news, contested elections, and what was the other one?
Political violence.
Political violence.
Right.
It sounds like today. So tell us an example maybe of contested elections where it's precedented. It's precedented.
Yes. So I'm going to jump to the presidential one, though I'll admit my favorite one actually comes from Louisiana, but you'll have to get into chapter 6 for that.
Okay.
So in 1876, though, we had an election in which 4 states couldn't agree on who had won their election. So these 4 states sent separate sets, multiple sets, the Republicans and Democrats, each set their own version of electoral votes to Congress. So we're not even talking, should we question if these returns are good? They had to question which set of returns to look at. Florida, leave it to Florida, sent 3 sets. The Democrats set 2, just, for good measure. Georgia cast 101% of their registered voters voted. So mathematically impossible.
Yeah.
We know of at least one gentleman who voted 72 times.
Oh my gosh.
We have hundreds of telegrams that came to light years later from the Democrats attempting to set up bribes in all these various states to buy off electoral college voters after the fact. We have documented instances of a few hundred being murdered in the buildup to the election in these southern states where Black Americans are first voting. So, just bribery, shady shenanigans, evident voter fraud. And Congress had to sort out this whole mess. And so Jeremiah Black, by the time this is all said and done, and Congress is trying to figure out, what do we do? They set up this commission. Jeremiah Black, the Democratic lawyer, he says, we will never have an honest election again. Like, this is it. This is the end of the republic. And yet here I am telling you this story, and I'm willing to bet that you're unfamiliar with it. And so is pretty much, if not every single listener hearing what I have to say right now, because the republic is that vital, is that capable of bouncing back. So I'm telling a lot of dark stories with a very positive framing to say we are better than our worst moments. And we have demonstrated that for 250 years.
Okay, but you can't leave us hanging on Louisiana.
Oh, I won't. All you have to do is get the book and you can read chapter 6.
All right, that's good.
I'll leave it at this. I will tell you this. It includes a full-on street battle over the election results. 2 state governments, both claiming to be the legitimate government of Louisiana, And this street battle being framed by one side as an insurrection and the other as patriots seizing the rightful outcome of the election.
You've got to get that book. You've got to get that book.
That sounds familiar. I'm intrigued by the presidential election. What happened there? What actually happened in the end?
So in the end, the Republican Rudd Hayes was given the win. Now, I think pretty much every historian looking at the numbers would say that's probably not the actual outcome. But it was an utterly contested, truly unprovable election. And it resulted in the setup that Congress had used without issue until 2020, when, there's a little bit of debate about just a little.
Go ahead if you had one more.
So Rudd Hayes won. The Democrats kind of agreed finally after crying Tilden, which was the name of their candidate, Tilden or blood, threatening civil war. The Democrats agreed on the condition that the Republicans would end Reconstruction in the South. So it was a backroom deal. It wasn't even a, hey, we figured it out, guys. We know who the winner is.
Wow.
No, they worked it out in back rooms and said, okay, here's your tit for tat.
All right. So you have a new book coming out. It's called Been There, Done That. When does it come out?
It comes out on the 16th of this month. Okay. So by all means, go ahead and pre-order it today. Have it sitting on your stoop.
And how can people find your podcast? Everybody probably knows of it. I always say that.
Well, I appreciate that compliment. It's History That Doesn't Suck. The website is htdspodcast.com.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us, Dr. Greg Jackson, host of History That Doesn't Suck podcast and a professor at UVU.
That was a lot of fun.
So much fun.
I'm going to get that book.
I know, right? Coming up on Inside Sources, we're going to take a few minutes to remember a well-known businesswoman and matriarch of one of Utah's most influential families, Karen Huntsman. She passed away yesterday. Stay with us.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. Dee and I had the chance at Hale Center Theater to see the opening night of not only My Fair Lady, but Harmony. Two great presentations right now on two amazing stages. I want to talk about My Fair Lady first. I've had the chance to enjoy My Fair Lady, the West End in London and New York on Broadway, and of course the iconic movie. But I have to tell you, I don't think I have ever enjoyed My Fair Lady more than watching it on the stage at Hale Center Theater. Spectacular staging, gifted performances, great music, the voices, incredible, and the costuming. You're going to love My Fair Lady. It's on now at Hale Center Theater. Then there's Harmony, the story of a 6-man German choral comedy group who gained great fame in the late 20s and early 30s, only to be undone by the Nazis. This is a powerful performance. Don't miss it. Get your tickets now. Harmony and My Fair Lady at Hale Center Theater, hct.org for your tickets.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a super fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and data for just $34.99 a month. But wait, there's more. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be switching to an American wireless company that's committed to keeping 100% of its customer service in this country. I appreciate that. In fact, that's why I switched. I also appreciate the way they support our vets and our skilled workforce. Dial pound 250, say micro, and get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. That's pound 250 micro. Stop paying twice what you need to pay for the service you want and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
America First Credit Union has everything you need to get your money working. And for a limited time, new members get a $150 cash bonus for opening a checking account and $200 more for enrolling in and using direct deposit. If you're ready to do more with your money and get up to $350 cash, head to americafirst.com and become a member today. Subject to membership, eligibility, terms, creditworthiness, change, and conditions. Additional requirements may apply. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal Opportunity Lender.
This is Derek Miller, speaking on business. Since 2001, Equality Utah has worked to make Utah a place where every person belongs and can thrive. Through its programs, the organization helps ensure people receive the support and respect they deserve. Executive Director Essie Gonson joins us with more.
Equality Utah is a statewide organization working to ensure that every Utahn is treated fairly and with dignity under the law and in their daily lives. For the past 25 years, we've focused on advancing thoughtful, effective policy at the state legislature, building relationships across differences, and supporting leaders who are committed to fairness. A big part of our work is helping people navigate complex and often polarized issues in a way that leads to real progress. That means working alongside community members, business leaders, and elected officials to find common ground and move solutions forward. We also invest in the next generation through our College Ambassador program, equipping students across Utah with the skills to engage thoughtfully and lead in their communities. At the end of the day, our work is about strengthening Utah, making it a place where people feel respected, heard, and able to contribute.
By advocating for equality, education, and inclusive policies, Equality Utah helps Utahns feel supported, respected, and included. To learn more about their mission and get involved, visit equalityutah.org. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Let me ask you a question. You have a best friend? How big would it shock you if somebody told you that your best friend just killed somebody?
911, what's your emergency? Someone on the other line said they kidnapped my son and they're demanding $500,000.
I've asked myself so many times, what in the world happened?
Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Inside Sources.
So this week, one of the most influential businesswomen and philanthropists in Utah passed away. It was Karen Huntsman of the famed Huntsman family. She died yesterday at the age of 88. So I saw news articles about her calling her the matriarch, right, of the Huntsman family, which I think is awesome. But she and her husband, John, who passed away a little while ago, created a family foundation in 1988. It has grown now to support cancer research, mental health treatment, of course, and research, public and higher education, and people who are underserved. And the way I learned about her passing was a social media post by the University of Utah, actually saying, "We are so sad to hear about the passing of Karen Huntsman."
And you think about the Huntsman Cancer Institute as being one of the leaders in the world, really.
Yeah.
It's world renowned. It's done so much for our community. And the Huntsman family, of course, has done so much for our community as well.
They have, and you know, sometimes I think the moms, the matriarchs, they get overshadowed sometimes by their husbands, but Karen Huntsman, and I will say there's several others, right? Karen Ashton, Gail Miller, they've all been able to affect our communities in some really powerful ways. And actually, I knew that her husband, John, had passed away a while ago. It was actually in 2018, so it's been a little while.
Yeah.
So that was our, I guess, community information that we wanted to share today, that Karen Huntsman has passed away at the age of 88. And, you know, it was complications related to cancer and chemotherapy. So all of this work in the cancer area, and in the end,
what a great name the Huntsmans have in our community. I mean, their son was a governor and served very distinctively, and a representative for the country as a
Yes. So today, and we're going to go to just a few fun facts, but today is National Egg Day. Did you know there was a day dedicated to eggs?
No, but I'm glad. With you, there's a day dedicated to just about everything. We seem to talk about that
just
all
about
the time.
everything. Yep. Yeah. So I do have fun facts for today. It's June 3rd. Today in 1906, singer-actress Josephine Baker was born. She was the first African-American woman to star in a major motion picture and to integrate an American concert hall. She was also a spy. and the owner of Folie Bergère in Paris.
How
about
that
for a
remember
story?
A story about her once. Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
She's this dancer and singer, and she's a spy.
Interesting.
So awesome. So on this day in 1916, President Woodrow Wilson signed the National Defense Act. It expanded the size and scope of the National Guard, and the National Guard was basically the state militias that had been around in colonial times, and then they kind of came together under this umbrella of the National Guard.
It would be interesting to see how the National Guard was formed. That makes sense because I always wondered what it was or how it came about or what the purpose of it is. I understand now they serve a great purpose, but I didn't understand.
And we don't have individual militias anymore. So
yeah,
unless you could say the National Guard. So it was on this day in 1937 that the Duke of Windsor wed American socialite Wallis Simpson. So this was the one, he abdicated the throne, right? So he was the king of England, and he fell in love with an American divorcee. This was in the 1930s, and royal protocol would not allow for him to marry a divorcee, and so he stepped away from the throne. And that's how he got Queen Elizabeth, because it was her father then that took his spot.
Oh.
And then when her father died, she became the queen.
Wallace Simpson. I thought there was another version of that same thing, but I don't remember what it was.
It may be earlier, but this is the famous
was
one.
way back in 1937.
So on Friday, the movie show question was, what was your favorite World War II movie? And a number of our listeners and the movie show listeners listed Dunkirk, the movie Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Well, it was on this day in 1940 that the last British and French troops were evacuated from Dunkirk, actually. So that was fun. That was a good movie. Did you ever see it?
Yeah, Dunkirk.
Yeah.
I have to say, just digress for a second. The movie of the week last week was that Pressure.
Yeah.
I went and saw it.
And?
Oh, I recommend it to anyone.
Really?
That was a great movie.
Well, listen, so that's about D-Day, and D-Day is
that's
coming up on Saturday. The anniversary of D-Day is Saturday.
Right.
Yeah, June 6th, 1944.
Yeah, that's another day to remember.
Yeah, it is, for sure. So it was on this day in 1989 that the crackdown began in Tiananmen Square, and I think tomorrow is the anniversary of people actually being killed, and it was a lot.
That's not even in the books in China. They don't.
Oh, I know.
Something.
In fact, I saw a news story this morning that said there was a man who was trying to place a memorial in Tiananmen Square, and he was stopped immediately. The memorial he was trying to place was a single red thread in honor of the people who protested, and they are like, absolutely not. You're not doing that here.
Yeah. And in 2016, Muhammad Ali died at the age of 74. But I have a little trivia. I get to do this day in history, too, because on this day in 1967, became the number one song on Billboard charts. It was number one, and that song by Rolling Stone magazine has been named one of the 5 greatest songs of all time. This is Aretha Franklin's version of it.
I cannot believe that it was 1967.
Yeah, it was originally written by Otis Redding, but this is the Aretha Franklin version.
Well, that's
which
the only
of course
one I
is
know.
Everyone, yeah. If you ever saw the movie, the John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, Blues Brothers, she does that in the movie, and it is
interesting.
It is incredible. The way that she pulled that off. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, I saw that today, and I thought I'm gonna see if Holly will let me do one of her this day in history.
All right, what are your closing arguments for us today?
Well, I kind of danced around about this because I was going to talk about what happened in Tooele County, and I think we handled that pretty well. I do want to just say one thing about that. The fact that we were concerned about mail-in voting, and people say, and your last question was, what do you think this will cause concerns with mail-in voting? And I would say just the opposite. What happened there, that clerk was incredible, that not a single vote is going to be a problem. So they did a good job with that. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to get myself in a little trouble here because I want to talk about what we're doing with this Pride Month and changing it to Fidelity Month. It seems like, and I don't take a position one way or the other in terms of pride or whatever, but we're kind of going in a weird direction in our country when we're, this whole idea of being woke has gotten to the point where it's so unpopular that, we don't want to be associated with anything that would be considered to be woke. And so, Pride Month has been happening in Utah for a long time. It has gone without problem. And, people say what they want about it. You can participate in it if you want. but it's just something that's been there. And so changing that seems to be, and I love Spencer Cox. I think he's one of the best governors in my lifetime. But changing that almost seems like a slap in the face to the LGBT community. And I don't know that that's a message that we want to be sending right now. And I'm again, not an endorsement one way or the other, but it just seems like, what are we doing? And of course, other states are going this way. And you wonder how much we are digressing in this country, and the way that we're looking back in a way that we haven't in the past. I saw the Supreme Court of the United States that held up a law in one of the states, maybe in Louisiana, that really excludes black voters.
Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama. And I'm thinking, man, we've come so far, and I think there's a notion with some groups that we've come too far. And that's hard to say, that we've become too fair, we've become too open, we've become too accepting. How do you say that? How do you say that with a straight face? But that seems to be where we're going right now. And so I was a little troubled that we were doing this. I don't understand why it happened. Well, I do understand. I completely understand why it happened. But anyway, I don't know. It's one of those things that when I heard about it, I thought, why are we doing this? It just doesn't make sense. Anyway, I like I say, I probably need to get off my soapbox on that. It is something that bothered me when I heard about it. And because my first question is why, and what are we really trying to do? So anyway, I'll get off my box.
Well, thank you for those closing arguments. I appreciate it. And before we wrap today's show, I just want to remind our listeners one more time about KSL News Radio's Give-a-thon tomorrow. It's June 4th.